And first of all, I want to thank Al Ayman, the best manager in the world.
He's the fucking champion of the world!
Adonis Stevenson, piece of shit.
No, I think Razada, good boy. Razada's a good boy.
I've become a massive international superstar, it's as simple as that.
I eat your asshole alive, you bitch! Scared of the real man. I'll fuck you till you love me, faggot!
I'm going to physically shoot David Hay. Wait. He fucking glassed me. He glassed me. Derek, cool down.
Welcome everyone to the 80th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nut House podcast, brought to you by boxingasylum.com. It is Sunday the 1st of June. I'm your host, a slightly hungover Andy Patterson. I've also got two hungover members as well, Alistair McDonald, Big Boss Man Tommy Allen, Alex Morris and Kurt Ward joining us on today's show. Anybody who didn't listen to last night's show, we did the Froch Groves post-fight special. Anybody who hasn't heard it, it's going around on Twitter, it's on the site and it's also up on the YouTube page as well. We'll try and post it up on Twitter and on the Mixler chat very, very shortly for anybody who hasn't heard it. What we're going to do is we're going to discuss the undercard from Wembley yesterday, and also discuss what was happening in Macau, China, and the Sturm Solomon fight. First off the bat, Anthony Joshua again blasting out his opponent in one round, Matt Legg. Very, very impressive finish. I think it was a right uppercut. I think it was. It kind of finished him off. They're talking about Matt Skelton for July. Tommy, do you think that's going to be a decent enough test for Joshua, or do you step him up to maybe even... Well, that was a 6 rounder last night, so you need to step up to maybe 8 or 10 rounds now, I think.
It's not going to be a good test for him, but it is a step up in class, isn't it? So Skelton, that's probably going to be a 10 rounder, isn't it? So... Yeah, well, he's knocking him over just now. It's clearly obvious they've got to step him up somehow. And I suppose Matt Skelton isn't a bad fight for a first step up, to be honest, for a young prospect team. So get him out the road and obviously onto bigger and better things.
The problem is, Alex, I don't think Skelton's fought since last March. He lost a 10-round decision to John McDermott, but before that he got blasted out in 2 rounds by David Price. Would you see Joshua doing another early job on the likes of Matt Skelton?
Yeah, I think you would. You mean, Skelton's getting on a bit as well now, isn't he? I mean, you can say he's a class up in terms of his ability and what he's done in the ring, but ultimately, since David Price put him away so well, you think Anthony Joshua was almost guaranteed to do the same. And it doesn't matter what you sort of schedule that fight to be, 8 rounds, 10 rounds, 12 rounds, he's going to get rid of him in 2. And he needs to be fighting someone that's going to last, the 8 rounds or the 10 rounds, rather than just someone who's going to knock over like another old man or another midget. I mean, Matt Legg last night, to be fair to him, he turned up for the fight, didn't he? He didn't come in just for the payday. He came in trying to win it. He lunged right in, caught Anthony Joshua with a decent left hook, I thought, but ultimately, he was just there to fall down, and he did. I'm surprised he lasted longer than a minute.
Yeah. Also in that card, Gamal Yafai had his second fight against Jack Heath. Brutal body shots, dropped Heath twice, I think it was, in the fight, if I remember rightly. Shot a drunken haze. Martin J. Ward had a technical decision draw, I think it was. I think he was cut accidentally against Ian Bailey. Jamie McDonald has picked up the WBA regulars bantamweight title. The main champion is obviously Anselmo Moreno, beating Tabnik Dang Narachawat, 10th round technical knockout. It did look like it was going to go the distance, mate, but it was quite funny. I think Malik Nagy is going to be getting a comment this week on Value of the Week for the fact is he's now got the power, and 2 seconds later he drops Ratchawat like a sack of shit with a left hook.
Yeah, well, to be fair to Paulie, I mean, I think most were expecting the same. To be honest, McDonald doesn't really carry power, and that was, that's why it's such a surprising knockout from him. And it was a really peach of a punch. And I think he said afterwards, he was surprised himself because he's not used to doing that to people. That's not his game. He's used to going 12 rounds. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's hard. He's not. It's not his fault. He's been given the opportunity to fight for this, title. And you mentioned Anselmo Moreno. Sky obviously didn't mention him. They're not going to mention him because. Why would they ruin the casuals' surprise at that? So, I mean, McDonald did what he had to do against the guy who was, I think he was rated the 7th best in Thailand. I mean, how good are the other 6? Who knows? But, he came to fight, he tried, but McDonald was he was too big, and he boxed well, and he got the great knockout on the stage, and let's hope he can be in there with, some of the true, top guys of the division and see how he gets on, because he's now a 2-time title holder or champion, whatever you want to call him, but we need to see him face someone decent, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be, he's maybe going to be looking at potentially fighting the winner between Paul Butler and Stuart Hall, but I think whoever wins that fight, I think they've got to then defend against the American. His name escapes me at the minute. Caballero, is it Randy Caballero? I think he's next in line. I think. Yep. Alistair, mate, you were doing your James Bond last night. You were swanning about the casinos in Monte Carlo, etc., chatting up the women, trying to smash some fanny. So I believe you only saw half the fight. But Ratchabat, as Kurt said, did come to fight. I just think he basically gassed out towards the end and left himself open for the left hook in behind the right hand.
Yeah, I mean, the Thai fighter did what a lot of guys from Thailand did. He's incredibly rugged and a quite a good pressure fighter. He had a pretty severe skill deficit, I thought, on at least on the boxing technical front in that fight. And he probably, I only saw the second half of the fight, but he did to my eye appear to be losing on points. But like I said, the knockout was a peach of a punch, and it wasn't something I was expecting as well. I was expecting McDonald just to sort of pitter-patter his way to the victory. But it was an enjoyable fight. Where McDonald goes again now, I don't know. I think it just shows how ridiculous the whole system is, with him getting stripped, and now he's essentially world champion again. And it's maybe not a huge hiccup in his career because he got to be in quite an entertaining fight on the undercard of this, which was a huge event. But boxing politics are just ridiculous, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I actually forget what actually happened with the.
They didn't make
the IBF.
He moved over to Hearn, didn't he? And they didn't make the defence of his title quick enough, so he got stripped, and Stuart Hall ended up fighting for McDonald's old title.
Yeah.
And now that he could fight Hall again, I mean, it's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah. That would be a waste of a fight, because I think we can all see. We all knew it anyway, but if you watch last night's fight, it's pretty apparent that McDonald is leagues above Stuart Hall. I mean, Stuart Hall put it all out on the line in his last fight, didn't he? And it was.
Do you remember there was a poster, or is it a listener on his podcast? He let us know about Juan Carlos Payano, and none of us had actually heard of him. He's meant to be quite highly rated. I see he's ranked number 2 with the WBA, so maybe he might end up fighting him at some point down the line.
Yeah.
Just going to say, just to let the listeners know, I forgot to say at the start, actually, we've got an interview with Shannon Briggs, the former WBO heavyweight champion of the world. He will be coming on just after the Value of the Week segment. It's a 25-minute interview that me, Tommy, Alex and Kurt carried out on Friday night, so we'll look forward to putting that one up. One fight, in fact, is those next 2 fights, I think it's going to basically create a bit of debate here, especially about the refereeing performances. I was quite critical last night in my drunken humour, saying that British refs should be executed for some of the stoppages last night. First off, Kevin Mitchell against Tristan Manduma. It did look like that Manduma was potentially going to. I think he was in front actually at one point. Yeah, it was 96-94, 96-94, all across 3 cards actually.
It's a lot wider than that, I thought. A lot wider than that. It should have been.
Yeah, it looked wider to me. I haven't watched it again this morning, so but it
only gave Kevin about 1 or 2, I think.
He was very, very cautious last night, Mitchell, wasn't he? I mean, the speed, especially that left hand from Manduma, I think it had Mitchell very, very wary. And as says on the forum last night during the fight, is Mitchell had to step forward more because he wasn't going to win that fight off the back foot. And I think the judges' scorecards are kind of testament to that he wasn't going to win that fight off the bat. You had to be a wee bit more aggressive and step in with these punches.
I think in his head he probably was trying to tackle the bigger, longer guy in the same way that he did Bradis Prescott, but it was just a different fight, and that wasn't going to work. This guy's much quicker and let his hands go at range a lot better than Prescott did. So, yeah, you're right, he had to go on the front foot. It took him 3/4 of the fight to realise that, really.
Kurt, you're itching at the bit, mate. What do you think about the stoppage? You know, some people are saying as well, the guy was on rubbery legs, he's probably exhausted or whatever. Why let him go on if he is exhausted? You know, he's not going to be able to withstand a punch anymore. Do you think it was a poor stoppage?
Well, first of all, everyone knows I'm a Mitchell fan, and he was disappointing. I thought, as much as Maduma was good as well. His hand speed was obviously way too much for Mitchell at the start. The second half of the fight, I thought Mitchell started timing him better. He started having more success, and Mitchell took his power quite well. And I don't think Maduma was taking Mitchell's power that well. The odd times he did get caught with a big punch, but for me, the guy should have been allowed to continue. I mean, I know he had, he stood up and his legs were a bit rubbery, but the ref didn't give him a chance. He could have said to him, "Are you all right?" or try and walk forward. And if he can't, fair enough, stop it. But as I said, on many pods, these guys they're not got itchy trigger fingers. They're like with a ref. They're just so desperate to step in and stop a fight. I mean, it's fighting. It's not chess. It's not Scrabble. They're fighting for their futures, their careers, the paydays, recognition, and they're coming over here and getting stopped. I mean, yeah, Mitchell might have gone over there and landed a punch on him, and people say, "Oh, it's better to stop a fight too early than too late." But why do we have to have those two extremes? Why can't the fights just be stopped at the right time? And I think the guy should have been given a chance. You never know, he could have held on, he could have ran. I don't know what he was going to do, but I think, if that weren't in Britain, he would have been given a chance. And yeah, Mitchell probably would have stopped him, but he would have been given the chance.
Well, I think, yeah.
I was just going to say, mate, I mean, if you compare and contrast the referee in Macau last night and the Victor Chinian fight, which we'll get back onto. Sorry, Alistair, on you go, mate.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that guy, he wasn't necessarily, he was hurt, but it was mostly like Kurt said, he was exhausted, he was tired, he was still bouncing around on his feet. Yes, he was on rubbery legs, but he was seconds away from the end of the round. He wasn't really hurt, he was just tired, and he was about to get a minute's rest. So, to stop it the way he did without, giving him a proper count in that particular instance, I thought was pretty disgraceful.
But should he, the ref shouldn't be paying attention to the fact that, the end of the round is coming up. I mean, this is the whole Chavez, what's his name? Oh my God, I forgot his name. Yeah, Chavez Taylor bait. I mean, should that have been stopped? And I think a lot of people now think that should have been stopped. Taylor was completely gone. And that's why I sort of, the stoppage wasn't great, but I can sort of sympathise with it. Maduma looked completely spent. In a matter of seconds, he'd gone from, bouncing about the ring to being just completely fucked. And, I can see that the ref shouldn't be looking towards when the round's ending, to be honest.
But he didn't get to the end of the count, did he? He stopped at mid-count. Do you know what I mean? If it wasn't like he was out on his feet, he was just tired. And then it's a case of, I think anyway, it's not like they need to get off to stop at him quickly or anything. They might as well give him the full count and see how he looks at the end of the count.
Just need to remember as well, this is the same referee that waved off Malik Scott against Del Boy Chisora.
Oh, right, that's interesting.
Exactly, he's a knob, isn't he? I mean, let's get it straight. I mean, he should be in leisure centres, that's where he should be. He shouldn't be on this kind of stage. He's a joke.
I retract my defence of him then, fucking hell.
Yeah. I mean, I agree kind of with what Alex said. You shouldn't really let the clock dictate whether or not you stop him. But the fact is, if it got towards the end of the count, the bell, I can't remember, we were seconds away, weren't we? So we might have even counted to the end of the round. And then it's like, it's not like they needed to get a doctor into looking, so they might as well have got to the end of the count and seen how he looked, in my mind.
You see, we've got another card, a huge event on British soil, and again, people are talking about the referees again. Why is it always with these British cards, the referees are always getting involved and waving fights off? I mean, see, we've had various tragedies, McClellan, Watson, and since then they're so desperate to stop a fight. It's just someone asked me a question and then we'll answer it later. But how can you see a Gatti Ward fight or a Corrales Castile fight? How can you see one of those fights taking place on British soil ever?
Yeah, that's a fair point actually. Just before we go to the next fight is as well, Mitchell obviously coming in £1.5 over the IBF second day weigh-in rule. So basically, what that means is Mitchell will probably regain his number one contender spot, but I think Miguel Vasquez now has the option of maybe not even giving him a title shot. He's no longer the mandatory challenger.
Yeah, I think I saw an interview with Eddie last night, and he's still pretty certain they can get the fight because Vasquez, he doesn't make a lot of money, and he's pretty sure that even it would have been nice to be mandatory because you can get a bit of leverage, but he can still bring him over here, and I still think that fight can happen, but.
You need to pay him though. That's the thing. I remember $400,000. I think you need to pay him at least.
And realistically, can Mitchell win that fight? It's going to be a tough ask.
Yep, definitely. Moving on to the co-main event, Tommy, I'll come to you, mate. You're a big fan of the guy. I posted up on the chat actually. James DeGale's knockdown on Brandon Gonzalez. It was absolutely frightening, mate, wasn't it? Off the ropes. I think we're looking at here uppercut. Left hand to the body, right hand, left. I can't even keep up with the hand speed there, but then he drops him with the left hand. But again, another poor stoppage. This time it's Steve Great's involved.
Yeah. You've got to hand it to DeGale, to be honest. The combination of speed, accuracy and power was absolutely fine. And that was a good fight he beat last night. But as you say, once again, the referees just they're stopping him just a bit too early. Kurt made a good point. He says, how can... There's got to be a thin line with you stop it too late, stop it too early, but they really need to start getting these decisions right, doing them correct. But yep, I argued the Gale 10 last night. You could see he wanted to be there last night. He wanted to be in that ring, and I've never really seen that film for a long time. I know that he's not been training properly. He's had one or two injuries, but I think he's back now and he's firing, and we're going to see the best of James DeGale. I hope the Froch fight gets made. I'm going to hold on just a little bit longer on making a prediction on that fight. I've always thought James a bad style match for him, but we'll wait and see if the fight gets made or if Froch goes another route. But I think if Froch does go another route, we're still going to get the DeGale Groves fight. So we've got a big fight coming up next either way for for James.
Alistair, sorry, I don't know if Alex is back. Alistair, we were discussing last night about the potential that Froch might even dump the IBF belt. Can you see that fight being a big payday for Froch? At the minute, I think Froch is going to be looking at the big fight, the big money fights. Top up the pension pot, so to speak. You think that fight will happen?
The only really big, Kessler. So really, you're looking at Kessler, you're looking at Chavez Jr., you're looking at DeGale really in terms of money. I don't think Ward will bring much money in the big scheme of things. Now, I don't think the Chavez fight will happen. There'll be promotional differences and stuff. The Kessler fight could well happen, so it's going to be between those two. And I don't know. I think Hearn might actually favour having two of his own fighters in a domestic fight that will make probably a decent amount of money if they sell it well. So I don't think that fight's impossible. I think it'll be between that one and Kessler, to be honest.
If not the Kessler fight, I know Kessler's on the Danish press this morning saying he wants to fight. What about a move up to light heavyweight?
He's pretty small. Well, he's not small, but he's on the weight well at super middleweight. Now, who's at light heavyweight that brings in good amount?
You've got the two fights in Canada, Pascal. You maybe even get the Booty rematch for instances. You could sell that as a revenge fight, so to speak.
I'd love to see him with Koval. If that's a fight he's not going to get money for, and he's going to get blew away in about 3 rounds.
Yeah, he gets hit too easily. The way he beats Kovalev is to cut him. I think. I know Kovalev got stopped in the amateurs, and I know Froch got a very impressive one-punch knockout last night, but he's not really the majority of the time a one-punch knockout guy, so I don't see him doing that to Kovalev. I think he just takes too many shots and gets beat.
I'm telling you, if he goes up to light heavyweight, I would target Adonis Stevenson, because Stevenson, as I says last week, he's just a two-punch fighter, and I think Froch would beat him. And then you're adding the lineal light heavyweight title there.
He'd have to go to Canada to make that fight worth the money, though. I think, don't you? Yeah. I don't think that sells that well in England. I don't think there's too many people that know about Adonis. Whereas the Canadian lot know him as the guy that beat Boutte, they know him as the guy that beat Pascal, so he's already got a good rep with the Montreal crowd. I think that would make money. Yeah, and it'd be an interesting fight as well. I think.
I think now Froch is in a position where he can make money against anybody, and doesn't matter who fights in the UK. He'll make money against them now.
In the UK, yeah. But then it's a case, I guess, of why would you fight Adonis Stevenson at a higher weight? I reckon he'd probably make money against DeGale. In the UK.
I think Alistair's perfectly right what he said. I mean, the two fights that will happen, I think, are Kessler or DeGale. Kessler is obviously past it, and that fight sells easily to the casuals. That's a given, and they'll build it up. And Froch will fancy winning that fight again. DeGale, again, Eddie Hearn loves a domestic fight. He promotes both guys. It's easy to make. DeGale can talk and hype the fight as well. He's not just going to sit there and say nothing. And again, Froch will fancy that to win. I mean, I know people will pick DeGale as well, but Froch himself will fancy that win. He'll look at DeGale the same way he looks at Froch, as a guy who won't be able to last, with the Cobra. But I mean, it's just what he wants. I mean, he's come through a lot of tough battles. I mean, he's right. He's looking for his pension fund now. Let's be honest. I don't think he's really looking for legacy. I know he could go up to light heavyweight and face Stevenson, but at the end of the day, it's about money now. He's worked hard. It took him a long time to get the recognition and the paydays. Now he's getting it. If he's probably going to have one more fight, probably, maybe, and then call it quits. What's it going to be? I think the Kessler fight, personally, I don't really want to see that, but I can understand why, and it's hard to begrudge both guys who have had really good careers one final payday. But for me personally, the DeGale fight would be a really good fight for me.
I think he can take way more shots against DeGale than he would against Kessler Froch, because DeGale's now letting his hands go. But I'd rather take personally 4 punches from DeGale than one from Kessler, and I'm sure Froch is the same, regardless of how granite his chin is.
Tommy, I mean, you said you didn't really want to make a prediction on that fight, but let me ask you: how do you see the fight playing out at a kind of technical point? Do you see Froch coming in to go to war? Because for a fact is that DeGale can sometimes want to fight at his own pace. So do you make DeGale fight at a pace, or do you think DeGale is going to up his game again? Because I personally think DeGale is better when he's facing the better opposition. He knew there last night there was no room for slip-ups against Gonzalez there last night.
Definitely. I think Froch would pretty much employ the same tactics as he did last night. Obviously James would be boxing, looking to move. Carroll that's a fight Froch would have to take his time in that fight as well. He couldn't rush in. He'd have to try and work behind his jab. Just keep the ring cut off nicely, and obviously keep it nice and tight and work behind his jab. Yeah, so. But I think James a bad style, man. I've said it for years. I've said if DeGale's firing, he is a nightmare for Froch. I'm not saying that Froch could knock him out, but that is a hard fight for Carol Froch.
And also, when you're talking about legacy as well, he's just beaten George Groves, who's 26 years old, and he's looking like he's going to be eating around that top 5 for a long time to come. And if he does fight DeGale and beat him at the time, it might not look that great of a win, but DeGale's going to be up there as well. I mean, these guys are still going to be challenging for world titles, and who knows how good a career they're going to have.
Yeah. I think the improvement I saw in James DeGale last night, I think that's the first time I've watched James DeGale and actually seen the real potential. That's the best he's ever looked by such a huge margin last night. It's the first time he's truly impressed me, I'd say.
We said it before, didn't we, about DeGale, that he's like one of these fighters that just turns up depending on his opponent. I mean, he's just been fighting in these shopping centres and sports halls against these nobodies, and he just does absolutely nothing. But he's put on this big stage against a potential threat, and he comes out like that and he storms it. So fair play to him.
The card from Macau, China. One fight I did manage to get, I saw a wee bit of it before I had to go out, was the IBF featherweight title fight between Yevgeny Gradovich and Alexander Mazerchkin.
Sorry, can I just cut you off for two? Just before we go into this topic, there's a lot of people saying that Froch, he won't fight DeGale, he gave up his title. But last year, this is exactly what Froch, one thing he would never do would be to give up one of his titles because he did defend against somebody. So if he does do that, he's obviously went back on what he says last year.
Well, the other thing as well on that topic is you just wonder if the IBF would give him a voluntary, because was that the last 2 fights have been mandatory defences, haven't they?
Sorry, mate.
Tommy, you'll go back on what he said. I mean, he scored the contradiction. I mean, does that really matter to Carl?
Exactly. Carl contradicts.
But no, I actually agree. I don't think he will give up his title. I think someone like Froch, his titles mean everything to him. You know, he like I said, he's looked for that recognition. He's been bitter in the past, seeing other guys get the respect and get the titles. And I think, you know, these titles mean a lot to him. And, you know, yeah, we all know that Andre Ward is the best, but while he's got these titles and he's fighting in these kind of fights, you know, the casuals look at Froch as being the man.
War chunky.
Anyways, from Macau, China, Gradovic, as I says, I think I watched the first 7 rounds. I think he was pretty dominant. I think this guy's certainly improving with each fight. Fought Alexander Miskertskin, former European champion, knocked out my wee mate Andreas Evanson a few fights back. One fight, Tommy, I'll come to you, mate, because I think you're a fan of the wee man as myself, Victor Chinian. In all honesty, every time he steps up in weight or up in class in the higher weight divisions, he's getting battered about. Brutal left hook.
I've not seen it, mate. I've just started watching the kid. I've seen the Donaire fight.
Right. Who saw the fight?
I did.
I saw it.
Alistair, you know, that left hook, you know, it really did put him in a bad way. If that left hook had landed, and you know, just for the first knockdown, if that left hook had landed in the UK and Steve Gray or fucking Paul Edwards in charge of that fight had been stopped there last night. And the second left hand that ended the fight was just absolutely sickening.
Yeah, I mean, what was the guy's name? Watson, Wilson,
Nicholas Walters.
Walters. Yeah, I mean, I've seen some highlight reel stuff of him only before. I've not actually seen him fight. He is enormous at the weight. Like he looked like he was 2 or 3 classes above Darchinian in weight. And yeah, I mean, I agree. Darchinian has put together an incredible string of opponents. I think of all the active fighters today, I can't think of anybody that's done back-to-back. I know Froch gets a lot of love for the back-to-back guys that he's fought, but Darchinian, he's got like, I've got them written here actually, Donaire, Maharis, Mares, Mourinho, Yamanaka, Arce, Agbeko, Kirillov, Zigorez, who was a pretty good fighter.
Excellent fighter.
Irene Pacheco as well, he was a good fighter. He's from Colombia.
Yeah. Unbelievable run of back-to-back guys, and yes, the majority of those actually were losses or very close fights. The fact is, he stepped up. He's past his best age now. He's fighting at a higher weight class. I mean, the fact is, he hit that guy last night with a lot of good shots, just as he hit Donaire last time out with the left hands a lot, and it just doesn't have the same effect up here. But he did box well. I thought Darchinian was in the fight, even though he lost the majority of the rounds. It was still competitive rounds, you know, and he was doing quite well. The guy was just so much bigger and stronger than him, and that shot was just sickening. Yeah, I agree. I mean, at this point in his career, he can't really seem to compete at the top level anymore, which is a shame because his guy's always been a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, Kurt, I mean, you don't want to be saying a fighter, you know, when he should retire and that. I mean, it's obviously down to him at the end of the day. Would you prefer to see him retire now? I mean, as I say, he's a game wee fucker. He always comes to fight, but as Arthur says, he's way past his prime now, and he's probably just getting put in there because he's a named fighter. You know, he's, 2-3 weight world champion. He could retire happy with his lot, but I don't know if he needs the money nowadays.
Well, I said it on the forum, you know, Vic is an extremely tough man, and I think he should retire, but he probably won't because he'll still believe he can do something. And you know, you don't want to see him used as an opponent for up and coming guys to beat up on, because that could happen. He's fighting at a weight where, you know, he really shouldn't be at. He's against guys who are much bigger, and you know, the guy last night, you know, for me, I see a lot of people hyping him, but to me, technically, he doesn't look too good. But he's just so much bigger and physically stronger than Darchinian. I mean, to me, it doesn't say really much about Walters. It says more about, you know, the biggest loser in this is Nonito Donaire, because he was losing the fight to Darchin in the last fight, and Darchin is obviously well past his best now, and he's still going to be game. He's still going to try and take on guys and fight, but you know, preferably you'd like to see him retire, because you don't want to see him just catching beatings now and just picking up a paycheck.
On the main event, I'm just going to open this up to everyone to discuss. Nonito Donaire gets a technical decision victory over Simpawi Vietka for the WBA Super featherweight title. I think it was the super title anyway. Donaire cut first round, the accidental clash of heads.
Punch. It was a punch.
Was it a punch? I mean, I think Box Rec have got it as a clash of heads, I think.
The ref never ever, even said what it was. He didn't say to the judges, "Oh, that was heads, that was a punch." He just sort of left it to their own devices, and they obviously made it up at the end. I've seen a couple of playbacks of it. I've seen a lot of people analysing it, and they reckon it was a left hook that caused it.
Yeah,
people thought it was an elbow as well at the end when they sort of twisted a bit weird, and the dude's Vietka's elbow sort of grazed that side of the head in a weird way. I don't know.
Certainly, I mean the clip that they showed that I saw, it looked like it was an accidental clash of heads. After the cut, I think it was the third round, Donaire just went into absolute war mode trying to smash out Vieka. I mean, I think he was just totally uncomfortable with the cut. He complained after the fight that the ointment that we're using, or the adrenaline that we're using to try and stem the flow of the blood, was getting into his eyes and stuff. Kurt, you were quite vocal about it on Twitter when I was at a barbecue yesterday. I thought, I was like, what the fuck just happened here? It was like the referee told him to ring the bell for the start of the fifth round, then called the fight off. I think Donaire whispered something to the referee after in the round 4. I don't know if he says I can't continue here or whatever, but give me your take on it, because I think you were slightly pissed off about it.
Well, it's not usual we see mistakes from the great ref Luis Pabon. I mean, this guy is one of the best in the world. But he cocked it all up. He cocked it all up. And the thing is, Donaire, in my opinion, it's a form of cheating what he did. People can say what they want strategically, and stuff. But to me, he bent the rules and he cheated. If he couldn't see, he should have said he couldn't see it, and the fight would have ended. And he knew he wouldn't have won the title because it would have been a no contest. But what they did was, he went out there like they do in prize fight when they've only got 3 rounds. He went out there, guns blazing, trying to, either make the rounds big for him or to drop the guy, because Vieka had a couple of good rounds to open the fight, and he knew, unless he got probably a stoppage or a knockdown, that they probably couldn't give him it. And then he got the knockdown. He came out in round 4 going crazy, and after that he said straight away, they were asking, the ref was asking, what's going to happen, and he was like, obviously he was saying to him, can you continue, can you see? And Donaire was like, well, I can see if we're going to I can see if it's going to be ruled a no contest, but if it's gone to the scorecards, no, I can't see, and it's just cheating. I mean, you can't see, or you can see. Which one is he? Mikey Garcia did the same thing against Salido. I got a cut, but can I continue? Can you find out what's going to happen first, and I'll let you know if I continue? You can't give these a little, what should we do? Get a table and chairs out and let them have a little discussion, get their feet up. Can you see or can you not see? It's cheating.
The thing is, the big thing that's really bugging me is, the referee demanded that the bell for the 5th round be rung. So that being the case, Alistair, is the fight goes to the scorecards rather than just stopping the fight at the end of the 4th round and making it a technical no contest. There was no need to fucking ring the bell.
Well, I don't understand why that's the case, because I thought it's once you've got 4 rounds in the book, it count. So if you go 4 rounds or more, isn't that the case? So they got.
Remember, Can Barrera had to had to get that fight to the 5th round. So
that was the same thing.
You have to complete 4 rounds, I think it is. It's not you start the 5th, you just have to complete.
Yeah, so I'm not sure why I don't know if they just ring it so they've got a time at which, because they have to declare it a knockout or a stoppage. So when you quit at the end of the 11th, it was called an. Oh shit! I don't know. It's quite confusing, but I don't understand why they had to.
They've got it as a technical decision, 4 rounds.
Okay. Yeah,
I
was under the impression you just have to get the end of the 4th round in which they've done. I don't really understand the whole ringing the bell.
Or maybe the ringing the bell was to actually end the fight, like they do in Japan.
Yeah, maybe.
It's an Asian thing, maybe.
Because otherwise, I'm sure they were saying, the commentary was saying, otherwise you end up having to score the 2 seconds of the 5th round, which would be absurd because the fighters hadn't left their corners, and if Boxrec have got it up as a technical decision across 4. I think all the conversation was because Luis Pabon didn't really understand the rules himself, because, you know what I said...
You're fucking right, he doesn't know the rules of boxing. Look at what he did with Bevitkin and Vladimir Klitschko. Right.
Yeah.
It was dry rape that night.
But I think the thing is, it was about they weren't fighting under the unified rules, were they? It was just WBC only or something.
The BBA rules, aye.
They actually did score a fifth round. The scorecards are 49-46, 49-46 and 49-46. So they've obviously scored that 10 each, that fifth round, eh? So
they need to, aye.
I think that's a mistake on box rate expert. We've put the 4.
I don't know if you noticed as well, but
Check fight news.
Donaire was able to have timeouts whenever he wanted during the fight. I mean, he could have been hurt, he could have been tired, but he was like, say, Lewis, my eyes hurting, can I just go and have a breather over there while it takes 30 seconds to look at it? And Ron was like, yeah, go ahead, mate. It was just it's just a lame way to get the title. I mean, I feel sorry for the guy because he's beaten Jordan, he's beaten Christian, 2 upset wins, no one predicted. He's been given a chance on the big stage, and he's been just, you know, the way that he's lost the title, he's just cheat way. And I know Donaire's saying he'll give him a rematch, but you know, we know these guys say a lot of things, and wherever it will happen, I don't know. I hope it does.
I mean, Donaire did the honourable thing and shit all over his own victory, and that's the only thing he did last night, I think.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Tommy. I mean, you know, if he's got to be a man of his word now and make sure he follows through with that rematch.
Definitely, 100%. That the fight is definitely going to happen again.
It was actually turning to be quite a good fight, actually.
Yeah.
It was, and I was actually quite impressed with Donaire when he started opening up. He started throwing the right hand. The
left hook was vicious as well when it dropped him.
Because that's quite a big featherweight he was fighting last night. I know he was a super bantamweight at some point, but he did look a big featherweight. I'd seen him in the past, he was a big featherweight, and he dropped him like a sack of spuds, man. That left hook he did he's probably the hardest. Considering where he's came from, he is probably the hardest puncher, pound for pound in boxing, in my opinion. But I just want to say about Kurt, I can hear the fear in his voice because he knows Rigondeaux's maybe going to have to give him a rematch at some point.
I want a rematch. I want to see that rematch.
I saw they are, and I'll tell you right now, Tom, I don't know if you agree with me, mate, but I think Donaire's over the hill now, in all honesty.
I think he definitely fell in love with his power, but I think that there was moments in that fight last night where I did see it coming. It's coming back to him. He's definitely let the right hand go a lot more, and he's not just looking for the left hook. But it still doesn't look right to me. But he did look better last night than he did against Darchinian once he opened up. So he looks frightening when he opens up. The combination of speed and power is unreal.
Rigo took that soul, baby.
Rigo mentally raped him, no lube in the first fight. This time he'll be Shang Tsung and just take that soul. He'll be gone. He'll be over for Donaire if he takes that fight.
I thought Donaire was letting the right hand go last night because Vietka was just open to it with that left low. I also thought, you know what, Vietka, am I saying that right? I just call
him V12.
V12, yeah. I mean, he looked very, very dangerous in the exchanges, actually. So even though Donaire was getting the better of them, when he actually went to war, I thought that was quite risky for Donaire, it looked. Now, if these guys don't get the rematch, they should put Vietka in with Rigo, because I've no doubt that guy will actually bring it, and not the way that we expected Joseph Ebeko to do. I mean, the fact is, Vietka showed last night that he was more than happy to step into the jaws of the lion against Donaire, and I don't think he would fear doing the same against Rigondeaux.
And the thing is, you got to remember, Donaire now probably will take the rematch because the Welsh Mayweather's waiting in the wings. He's not going to want to take that fight.
Just better moving on briefly.
Mayweather's American Lee Shelby.
Aye.
Yeah.
Just moving on briefly, I've not seen this fight yet, but it was another technical decision. Siriska Ringevezi lost his WBC super flyweight title against Carlos Cudras. Apparently it was okay. It was an okay fight, but I've still need to try and track it down. I don't know if anyone else saw this fight, but I sat and watched it this afternoon. Felix Sturm lost his IBF middleweight title against Sam Solomon. The rematch. After the first fight was ruled a no decision, after Solomon actually failed a drugs test, banned for 6 months by the BDP. I think he was actually done for a fat burning drug or something. Anyways, Sturm last night, very, very slow and ponderous. Solomon set an unbelievable pace, body movement, in and out, good jab, but also at the time as well, he was also doing a lot of spoiling, holding, and I think the referee, Eddie Cotton, it was his final fight as the referee last night, should have definitely taken a point off him at some point. But as the fight wore on, Sturm he actually at one point started turning southpaw. Sturm, I think that was more testament to the fact that he was actually getting frustrated. He just couldn't tie Solomon down. The jab that Sturm's known for just couldn't get it landing at all. In fact, Solomon actually beat him to the jab constantly over and over again. And the scorecards 118, 110 twice, 117, 111. You know, no complaints whatsoever. And I can see Sam Solomon now going to chill it and defending against Neil Gill. Anyone?
That's probably what's going to happen. That's an easy title grab for whoever fights him, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, Golovkin isn't signed now, and if you're Gil, do you take that fight or do you just go for a Solomon fight? I mean, you know what I mean? Hopefully we see the Golovkin fight, but Solomon now everyone's going to want to fight him, and you know Peter Quillin will probably try and get him over as well. So
apparently,
Andy Mundine might can't fight.
Oh God, he's already beat him twice. Well, that was Solomon actually at the age of 40. For the third time of asking, he's actually finally became a world champion. So. You know, give him his due there, but 41-year-old or whatever he is, you know, so fair play to him. Going into enemy territory, so to speak. There's a fight on later on tonight. Patrick Nielsen fights Dmitry Shudakovsky or something like that from Russia. So I might be tuning into that one later on. I don't think there's any other fights that we're going to discuss or anything like that. Yeah, just before we do, actually, Felix Sturm, I was speaking to a guy from Germany on Twitter there today. He says once the Serling contract ends with ARD, the German TV station, later this year, they reckon that the Sturm and the Abraham fight could potentially happen. But actually, big fan in Germany because there's still big stars over there. But moving on to our Twitter questions, I've got, oh God, this first one comes in from Boxing Maverick. Tommy, I'm going to go to you, mate, with this one. Is Carol's CV better than Sir Joe's?
I'm not even going to dignify that with a response. Of course it's no.
What?
Is Carol's CV better than Sir Joe's?
No. I'm sorry, but no. Calzaghe's number one. I mean, Froch has done incredibly well. In terms of fighting guys one after the other, yeah. Joe never did that. Joe never had the kind of talent for whatever reason to the guys to face him. But and you got to respect Carl for that. But you can't just erase the losses. You can't just say, oh well, he beat Kessler in the rematch, so let's forget about the first fight. You can't say, oh, let's forget he lost 11 rounds to Andre Ward. I mean, the fact is he lost. I mean, he's done remarkably well, but Joe Calzaghe was number one in 2 divisions. We yet to see Carl number one in any division. So I mean, the casual fans, he might be number one in WBA regular, he might be number one in IBF, but he's never number one in the division. While Andre Ward's out there, and he ain't moving up to like heavyweight to do anything. So I think Joe Calzaghe can sleep safe as he prepares for his Hall of Fame induction.
Mate, you're going to be classed as better once Fuego hears the comments, mate. Well, that being the case, Alex, another question coming from Boxer Maverick. He's actually asking part of it as well as if Froch actually avenged the Ward defeat, would it then be that his CV is better than Sir Joe's?
Well, I was going to say about the original point anyway, that it depends how you view CVs and, legacies and things like that. As Kurt was saying, Calzaghe, he was the man. He was number one at super middleweight. He was number one light heavyweight. And Carl Froch isn't. Carl Froch has had his, times where he's really struggled and he's looked a bit shit in some fights. I mean, not just the losses that he's had, but, the Donaire fight he looked awful in. That's mostly due to, the running man being the running man. As well as the Taylor fight, this is, an over-the-hill Taylor was schooling him up until the point that he got gas. And, I'm starting to sound like a bit of a hater again now. But
I won't be happy.
Let's take a look at Froch's resume in depth, right? John Pascal, very good win. Jermaine Taylor, over the hull. Andre Darrell, nobody thinks he beat Darrell. The first Kessler fight, he lost the fight. Arthur Abraham, never a middleweight. Glenn Johnson, he was over the hull as well, and Froch barely squeaked past him. Andre Ward schooled him. Yusuf Max, nobody. Lucien Boot was overhyped. I overhyped him. I hold my hands up. I thought he'd beat Froch. Anyway, he beat Kessler. Kessler was finished by that time. George Groves is a very good fighter, but until he actually beats somebody and wins a world title, well, it's never going to be a standout victory on his ledger, is it? So Froch, I think Froch does deserve a lot of credit, but I think he gets a little too much credit for actually what he's done in this sport. He's got a lot of guys on the slide as well, and if you're comparing him to Calzaghe, Bernard Hawkins used to win a world title at 49, 50 years of age. He was a pound for pound top rank, one of the top ranked fighters pound for pound in the world. How can you compare somebody who's base one as John Pascal to that?
So basically, the argument is
who Hopkins schooled years later. The
argument really is Froch never beat a pound for pound ranked fighter.
He's never, and Kessler, and you've obviously got Kessler beat him as well.
Also, as well, when Joe beat Hopkins, people said Hopkins was shot and was done.
Yeah.
He's gone on to still, obviously produce great performances. But if Carl Froch fought Bernard Hopkins next, there'd be who would win that fight? Because there'd be a hell of a lot of people picking Hopkins to beat him right now.
Hopkins would beat Froch. Hopkins would beat Froch right now.
I remember when Calzaghe fought Hopkins, I got a lot of stick for saying that I regarded Calzaghe as being further from his prime than Hopkins, and a lot of people are pointing to the that guy from Iowa who kept hitting him low. Antoine Eccles fight, saying how Hopkins used to be more of a brawler than a boxer, and he's had to adapt because he's getting he's shot. There's no way. Calzaghe was much further removed from his prime at the time of that fight, and I think that's just been cemented by what Hopkins has gone on to do since. I mean, I think in terms of value for money, we've done pretty well out of Froch. I think we've got a lot of very entertaining fights, and Matty said something last night on the podcast which I thought was pretty much true. He said, Froch has these technical deficiencies where he just doesn't have the skill set that his opponent has, but he uses these physical advantages he's got, and the fact that he's just incredibly tough to get over those. Well, Joe, on the flip side, he had massive physical disadvantages in the sense that his hands were fucked for the majority of his career, but he just used that skill and that work rate to get around it, and he was technically a much finer specimen than Froch ever was. He just wasn't perhaps in an era where there wasn't the kind of level of competition around when he was around, maybe for him to have done what Froch did, but that's not his fault.
See, the other thing, one of the questions for these on Blue and the Mixler chat is who would win then between Froch and Calzaghe?
Well, it's Calzaghe every night at peak, isn't it?
Yeah.
Peak for
That's
peak.
undebatable.
Peak for peak. So if people are saying that Froch at his peak was a Bute fight, people who also say Kessler at his peak, Calzaghe at his peak was probably Lacey or Kessler. Those two fighters, who wins?
Calzaghe.
You put the Calzaghe in with Lacey, maybe a little bit before Lacey, actually, before the hand issues. Definitely, he would put a drubbing on Froch. So there's no two ways about it. Froch is too easy to hit. Calzaghe, I know he got dropped a couple of times earlier, like just prior to the Lacey fight, and he got dropped by Roy Jones, but that was a forearm. I don't see Calzaghe, Froch being able to take Calzaghe out. And Froch himself said, if I did not go out, I'd have lost because his work rate's too good. I'd have eaten too many shots and lost on points.
Yeah, plus he was a lot quicker with the hand speed as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, tons. Yeah.
But can I just say this? Do you not get me angry about these guys who go on about Froch's resume? One sentence they tell me Andre Dirrell's shit and he's the running man and he's a joke. But then they say, oh, what a great victory it was. When the fact is, most feel that Dirrell beat him anyway, but how's that a great victory if you don't even rate the guy you beat, and never even should have beat anyway?
Exactly. That fight, Dirrell basically showed quite clearly, I've got way more skills than Froch. I've got plenty of skill. Like, I could quite easily beat Carl Froch. What he did then is did just the same amount, and depending on how you judged it, the same amount plus a little bit more, or not quite so much, to give the fight right back to Froch. Having basically taken all the points, he went and ran around like a chicken and gave the fight back. He showed that, if he'd stood his ground like he did against Abraham, he would have got a massive drubbing on Froch. There's no doubt about that. He just fought like an idiot. And Froch lost by a point anyway.
We've got a big couple of questions in here for Rob Palmer. I'll try and see if I can break it down a wee bit. Alex, I'll go to you, mate, because you're still claiming that you're ducking his questions, mate. So I better go to you first.
This is unfinished business. This is.
Yeah, this is Froch and Groves off the internet. We always hear the same cliche line churned out before and after every pay-per-view. This will be great for British boxing. 80,000 at Wembley, probably close to 1 million pay-per-view buys, and the fight and undercard delivered entertainment and drama. Everything around the fight, from the fans forum to 5,000 at the weigh-in, felt big time. So what's next? How does British boxing actually capitalise on this huge fight, Alex?
Well, I mean, you've got to try and attract those fans to being more permanent fans, haven't you? I've always leveled this sort of criticism at Eddie before, that he's only creating casual fans, darts fans, and he's just bringing them in for, just to be interested in his shows and, excuse me, these shows. And how many people do you think that went to Wembley, that bought that pay-per-view last night, that were talking about the show last night, are actually going to be watching Cotto Martinez next week? Are going to be watching
Butler and Stuart Hall.
Yeah, or Paul Butler, or even know who Paul Butler and Stuart Hall are. Yeah, these shows are really good for British boxing. They're good for boxing in general. It's good for getting the sport's name out there. And, luckily the main event didn't end in any sort of controversy. It was a good fight. It was interesting. There was no sort of, external drama. But until these fans, we'll see the proof in the pudding later on. When these fans, if we're getting higher views in Eddie's other shows, if Paul Butler and Stuart Hall get good views, if Cotto Martinez get good views from the UK, then yeah, it's doing a great job. But until then, he just needs to start focusing on promoting these shows better and making better fights, I think, to keep the fans around. He's just as I said, he's making Carl Froch fans, he's making Anthony Joshua fans, he's not making boxing fans at the moment.
That's the thing. We need to see, whether you like him or not, you need to see the Warren stable get these type of fights. I mean, we got Chisora Fury coming up. Apparently, tickets haven't been selling well. There hasn't hardly been any promotion for that card, really, that I've saw. I know it's still a bit away, but if you look at the actual card, it looks a good card, and, we've got a heavyweight fight there, which usually draws in the people, but that last night was excellent. Hearn did a fantastic job. He brought in the casuals, and when you see the cast of EastEnders there, and Gordon Ramsay, you've hit the big time. But the thing is, Gordon Ramsay ain't going to be there next week for the Butler fight. So you need casual fans are casual fans. They're not gonna stick to the sport. They're gonna they'll watch the next Froch fight. They'll watch David Hayes return. They might watch Pacquiao, but they're not going to be interested in nothing else. So it's great for the sport for that one night, but does it do much in the end? I'm not too sure.
Talking about, I want to digress here. Tommy, do you think if David Hay comes back, he should drop that entrance music that he's got and maybe play the team tune to Casualty?
He's going to. Will he even make it to the ring without getting injured? That's a question, eh? Oh man, he's really in the last chance saloon this time, isn't he?
Oh, he's got. I mean, I think he's past borrowed time now. Actually. Yep. Next question for Rob. How did Box Nation get some of the 80,000 attendees who were at Wembley last night to subscribe to the channel so they can go from 100,000 to 150,000 subscriptions? I don't know. Actually, I mean, again, I think you're gonna have a lot of casuals there last night. You've got, I don't know how many VIP tickets were up for grabs. I noticed Ari Gold was in attendance last night. When you come, Jeremy Piven. He's meant to be a big boxing fan. I know some Americans going about the fact that Box Nation is good for boxing. If they had it in America, they'd be subscribing to it. I just think there last night you'd attracted a lot of casual fans there last night. I mean, as I say, I go back to the fact that when I was in Germany for the Hay Klitschko fight, I had this idiot in front of me after each round kept turning around and kept asking me, do you think Hay won that round? I mean, mate, watch the fucking fight and score it yourself. It's clear that Hay was losing the fight. I just think you get too many casuals who are not going to be interested in subscribing to a channel where you've got a lot of domestic fights, really, and not really a lot of exciting fights, kind of domestically on Box Nation. But you will get a lot of like the Donaire fight. You'll probably get Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, and stuff like that. I think they're showing Cotto Martinez next week as well.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's Box Nation is great for the hardcore fans, but it's never going to attract the casuals in the long term. I mean, like I said, you get a Mayweather fight, they're going to buy it. You get a Pacquiao fight, they're going to buy it. For one day of the year, you're going to get all the morons on Twitter saying blah blah. They're going to be the boxing experts, and they're going to be back to their football or cricket, and they're never going to bother with it again for the year. But Box Nation, how are these people going to be paying 10 or whatever it is a month to watch fights that they've never heard of? I mean, they probably, many of them probably haven't even heard of Sergio Martinez. So I can't. It's just for boxing fans, and it just depends how many boxing fans there are in this country. Because I know there was 80,000 people there, and a million pay-per-view buys or whatever it was. But again, big events attract casual fans. You know, you got all these footballers or ex-footballers on Twitter, you know, talking about the fight. I've never saw that any of them talk about boxing before ever, so that's just the way it is. For one night only, yes, but in the long term, no.
Next question for Rob is, how do Matchroom get the sponsors of this event to sponsor boxing on a regular basis so the budget for each show improves? Well, I suppose they only put up how much money that they've got. I mean, I don't know, is the recession still in place at the minute?
I think we're out of the recession, aren't we?
I wouldn't know where to begin with that. You know, I'm not an accountant. I'm not a financer. I wouldn't know where to begin with that question.
Right. Well, I had another one here. How does Mick Hennessy get those who paid for the pay-per-view to watch his Channel 5 show so the viewing figures get back to 1 million plus? I mean, I think the Channel 5 viewing figures have been quite poor. I think some of them have only been recently matching something like 500,000 or something. Maybe even lower than that.
Yeah, I know when Fury fights, he gets up to a couple million, doesn't it? I heard he did 2 or 3 million on Channel 5 at one point, but...
That was for the Chisora fight, wasn't it? Chisora Fury.
3.5 million that fight peaked or something, didn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
And this is this is a marketing exercise. It's not actually about... The thing is, you're not going to convert every single person that tuned into this weekend's fight into a hardcore boxing fan. It's just not going to happen in the same way that I'll watch the World Cup, but I don't really like football, or some people will watch Wimbledon, and I'm saying I'll watch a Wimbledon match now and then for the event. People are drawn in on the event, do you know what I mean? On Channel 5, I don't even know when this fight's on. Sometimes I find out afterwards that there was a fight on Channel 5, because they just don't actually do enough promotion or marketing to let people know that it's on. And the thing is, as well, apart from boxing, what the hell would I watch on Channel 5 to see an advert? That's the other issue. They need to get posters and stuff up, because I might know what's on the BBC because I'll see an advert saying this programme's on at this time. With the boxing, I mean, I don't watch Channel 5, so I wouldn't ever see that.
Quick question for myself, and I've got one here from Gareth Young. What do you think those figures will come in at last night for the pay-per-view? Think you'll get about 1 million there?
I got over 1 million likes.
Alex?
Yeah, 1 million sounds about right.
Kurt?
Yeah, I'd say it'll just under 1 million, I'd say. I mean, I didn't Hay and Valiev do about 800,000 at roughly around the same time, so...
Yeah.
And that was pretty hyped with the whole, you know, giant against, you know...
David versus Goliath and all that shit,
so I could see that. I mean, yeah, around that time. I mean, it must be a successful... You know, Hearn said the first Groves fight did more than the Kessler fight, and that was pretty hyped, so... Yeah, I think they were happy all round, and that's why I think a DeGale fight could happen. With the whole domestic fight seemed to sell more than ever.
Alistair?
Whatever the Hay Klitschko fight did, I think it probably had
700,000, I think he did.
So that wasn't actually as good as the value fight.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
That's weird, probably because people thought it would be a mismatch. Right, whatever the best Hay fight is, I'd match that and better it by about 10%.
Did the Audley Harrison fight do 1 million pay-per-view buys?
No, I don't think so.
No, I think that did about half. I think half.
Did it?
Something like that.
I thought
But it's still amazing when you think back though that Hatton did over 1 million at like 5 in the morning. It's incredible when you think about it.
The one from Gareth Young at GuyYoung1281 on Twitter. Do you think the shitty early stoppages will stop us ever getting another Castillo-Corrales type scrap here?
Yep.
Definitely.
Just picture this, right? Imagine Kelly Pavlik and Jermaine Taylor had fought in the UK. That fight would have been over in a second round, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Pavlik would never been a world champion.
I think if anything...
It's simple as that, so you look at it.
Yeah. I think the thing is, Castillo-Corrales, no one was hurt until round 10, and that was the round of the stoppage. I think if that fight had happened in the UK, it probably would have been let go, and you just would have had Castillo as a winner on the first knockdown.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't really... Whereas Tommy's quite right, whereas Pavlik actually looked fucked. I mean, to be honest, Pavlik was bloody lucky that he had Smogel ref in that, because actually even some US refs probably would have stopped that. He was...
To be honest, you wouldn't have complained if that fight had been stopped.
No, yeah, absolutely.
He was gone, eh?
I mean, I'm actually trying to think of other fights and stuff that if the team place in Britain would they actually went, would they allowed to go on?
Would they let Donaire knocked him out, the Mexican Montiel would have let Montiel get back up.
Aye, I mean, I
They'd had the oxygen mask on him before he hit the ground.
I think when you seen Montiel trying to walk in mid-air with his legs up in the fucking air like that, I think that the referee would fucking no more convulsions here, convulsions.
To me, it's more of the board, though. It's like, I think the refs feel they're under pressure to stop the fight because no one wants to see, obviously, a tragedy or someone get seriously injured. I mean, we mentioned it, you'll hear it in a minute about Shannon Briggs when he fought Vitali. Now, a British ref was in that fight and he was heavily criticised. He let Vitali basically commit, manslaughter in the ring almost. He just wowed away on him for 12 rounds.
And the same prick that stopped Enzo Martinelli against
exactly.
Oval McKenzie.
Exactly. So it just seems to me that the board, the refs feel under pressure to stop the fights. I mean, I'd be interested to see a few of the British refs do more big fights abroad and see how they stop fights there. See if they're the same kind of things.
What about ex-refs getting? So what about ex-fighters getting involved, being like a referee? Do you think those type, it would allow the fight to go slightly bit longer? Because I remember once Roy Jones mentioned on that Montiel stoppage after the fight and stuff. I think someone asked him, should they have been allowed to continue? And Jones made a really good comment and says, well, he's a champion, you've got to give him that much respect. You've got to give him a chance to get up to show that he's maybe willing to go on. I think that comment alone just kind of really sunk home to me as something about that comment was actually bang on the money.
Ian John Lewis was a fighter. He was actually a fighter.
Is that why he fucking slurs his words? I'm a WFLB.
I am the WFLB.
So was Mickey Van, wasn't it?
Yeah, Mickey Van was a fighter in his day. I tell you, he's fit as fuck for his age. He must be 75
definitely.
or something like that, man.
Definitely, man.
Wasn't Fat Terry one as well?
Who? Fat Terry was a heavyweight, obviously. Aye.
I agree with the point on that. I think the board puts pressure on. I think the fact that we've got this historical problem in England, we've had two of the worst boxing catastrophes in recent years have been in Britain. And I think if you look at the way Smoker stopped Margarito in the Cotto rematch, and it was pretty clear that woman from the New York Boxing Commission was putting a hell of a lot of pressure on them not to let any. They didn't want to bring boxing in New York into disrepute, so they were really, really very, very nervous about Margarito's eye, and that led to it getting stopped early. I think that is an issue that is. Well, I don't know how you would address it really.
I believe we've got a caller coming on shortly, Jack Rathborn, and I think we'll have Steve Wellens on from the Irish Boxing Review. Once we get Jack on, we'll see what he wants to discuss, and then we'll go on to our Value of the Week segment, which after that we'll then bring you the interview we had with Shannon Briggs, and I believe Jack will be joining us very shortly. He's just coming on the line at present. Paul, who's Paul again, Kurt? Is that the Londoner?
No, from Liverpool. Was he on last?
Oh, right.
Remember the bell? You asked him about value, and he said,
"Yeah, he was all right. That boy, he was all right."
Jack, you there, mate?
Yeah, I'm here.
How you doing? What's in your mind?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Good show, guys. Still a little bit shocked by last night. I listened to most of the reaction from last night, and I know you've done Grove Froch to death, so. Thought I'd come at it at a slightly different angle. I just obviously a little bit teed off about the Jim Watts scoring, and just felt a little bit off. And live I had scoring in the stadium about 5-2 to Groves going into that round before it was stopped. And after rewatching it, I think I had 4-3 to Groves. I just wondered kind of what sort of style you guys look for most when you're scoring the fight, because evidently we're all looking at different things to Jim Watt, because I don't think any of you guys had it as wide as he did.
Alistair, mate, I'll put that one over at you. Myself personally, I try to look at the punches landed. Obviously, those that are kind of commanding the ring defence as well. I don't know how Watt. I think Watt had that 5-2 after the 7th. I think it was. I had that a point for Groves. I think the official cards had Froch up by two of the judges had Froch up by a point, and I think the other one had Groves up by a point. Alistair.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just out of the room, but that sounds like what they had.
But anyway, Alistair, the question was, what do you look for when you're scoring a fight?
Well, you've got to balance everything up. I mean, last night I thought at times Graves you've got the geography of the ring, he's winning that fight, and then he's landing the more clean shots, the hurtful shots. Obviously, you're going to single hard shots, you're going to rate over several little pitter-patters, but you've just got to look at everything on balance, haven't you? Punches landed, it's always important, and who's got best defence. I mean, a guy could be losing a geographical fight. Like, say, Floyd lost geographically to Maidana in most rounds, but he was obviously fighting better off the ropes and landing the better punches and being better defensively, and that would win him the round.
Yeah, I think it's quite interesting when you've got your score at the end of a fight, and then you go back and you see some stats, and sometimes they can complement your thinking on how the fight went, and other times can completely contradict it. I mean, you saw last night that the stats showed that Groves landed about 30 more punches, and his success rate was way higher than Froch, and sort of getting close to over 40%, getting close to 50%, which is pretty much elite level. When you talk about Mayweather, that he's kind of around that level on average throughout his career. So I think to suggest that Groves was way down, perhaps like a round, could be argued, but the way they were talking was pretty insane from where I was watching. So
yeah, I mean, for me personally, I don't know how everyone else feels, but Watt and Horling seemed to penalise Groves for not doing what he did in the first fight, you know, coming out front a lot of big punches, landing a lot of punches, and taking the fight to Froch. And they seem to like say, oh, because the fight is not the same as the first fight, that automatically means that Froch, you know, it's Froch is doing what he wants to do, and it's more Froch's fight. And I just think I got no problem with Froch being in front. But to me, it was a close fight, and either way, he's fine. But the way Watt was saying was Froch was outclassing Groves, you know, and that to me was not the case at all.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think Froch is I think Graves is prejudiced just because he didn't do what he did last time out.
Well, I think every time that, you know, Groves landed a good shot on Froch, Watt would say, Froch took that shot really well. Froch is, you know, taking these shots well. He's backing up really well. He's not commenting on the fact that Groves is landing repeated shots on Froch. He's just saying, Froch is, you know, teak tough warrior. He's doing really well against adversary here. It's just complete bias all the way throughout, and, you know, it's just nonsense.
It was, I mean, there was a point during the fight, as I actually says, I wish they would just shut the fuck up, because it can actually influence your way of thinking sometimes. I mean, I go back to the days, what do you call the old boys again? Harry Carpenter and etc. You know, there was times during their time as commentators as they would actually just be quiet, and you could actually sit and watch a fight in complete silence, and you actually see the action unfold, and it was a lot better, and it certainly didn't influence your way of scoring the fight in any way, shape or form.
That's it. They're trying to explain it to the casuals now, aren't they? They're trying to explain it to an audience who don't really know what they're looking at. They're trying to influence their opinions and tell them, this is what he's trying to land this punch, he's trying to do this. But because if you've got a certain bias about you and you're working for the company, then you're going to influence these casual minds. And it told, because I saw on Twitter this morning, you get all the usual celebrity knobheads coming on and saying, I watched this fight, I scored it this. People like Piers Morgan and fucking Joey Barton, they both scored it 5-2 to Froch. And that was exactly the same as Jim Watt's card. And I don't think that at all was a coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything else, Jack?
Yeah, just one more point. I mean, you talk about Groves moving forward, still a young man in terms of his career. Just wonder what you think about what his strategy moving forward is, because you look at that victory against DeGale, and that in comparison to the first fight against Froch, a massive contrast. And I think he got a little bit caught up in all the hype and the furore surrounding these last two fights. I think it's really crucial as he goes into this contract with Sauerland to really define who he is, and I wonder whether you think he should really move back towards the boxer that he was before he landed that absolutely huge shot in that first fight against Froch.
One thing, Tommy, I'll go to you, mate. Do you think maybe Groves needs to get back with Adam Booth, and do you think maybe he needs to step down maybe at European level, just get the confidence level back again?
I don't think going back to Booth is going to happen. I think there's probably a lot of bad feeling in that there now. Obviously, Adam's taken a big chunk of his purse last night too, hasn't he? I think he should have a couple of, maybe a tune-up or two just to get back into the groove, get the confidence back, then possibly getting another world title fight. But I don't think his tactics have been that bad. He just got caught last night. I thought he was pretty much spot on. Maybe he could have done a little bit more, but I think and it was a small ring as well. You know, so
clinches were good.
Tiny.
Yeah, I thought he done. I thought Gross his tactics were nearly bang on last night.
Do you think that's how he's going to approach fights moving forward, or do you think it's purely going to be based on his opponent?
I think it's going to be based on his opponent because he's got 2 or 3 dimensions to his game. Grows. He's not just like a one-dimensional fighter. You know, it all depends on who he's fighting.
Yeah.
He took the forward foot against Glenn Johnson. It was an aged Glenn Johnson, but it wasn't that long since he had took Froch all the way, was it? And he put a beating on him, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And Graves, he had a couple of fights in America into Golden Boy, and he went out. He became a bit of a gunslinger in those. He fought like a flipping lunatic, to be honest. He was just trading away and trying to take the guy out. I think he gauges who his opponent is, and he does adapt his style quite well. He can box and he can bang.
He's quite a good little inside fighter. He throws the short hooks and that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's quick with him, isn't he?
And the thing is, if he can, get good wins under his belt, he's with a great promoter. Sauerland, if you look at their record, what they've done with guys like Hock and there are other guys that they get them into positions to fight for world titles, and they fight for they defend their titles and Sauerland, I think they're definitely the right fit. I know that people were surprised when he went to them, but I think they're going to do a good job of him. And you got 2 fights there, Kessler and Abraham, right there that could be in his future as well.
He'll have to change his name to George Grooves or something, isn't he?
Yeah, the rest of the fighters.
Jurgen Groves.
Yeah.
Jurgen Groves.
Great stuff.
Any other questions there, Jack?
No, that's pretty much it.
Thanks for your time, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
No worries, mate. Cheers.
See you later, mate.
That's one.
I believe we've got Paul coming on the line very shortly. I think Kurt's just going to add him very, very shortly. I think he wants to talk about Kevin Mitchell. He'll be coming on very shortly.
When are we going to start talking about Jimmy McDonald's bird?
I tell you what, I think she puts her makeup on my paint sprayer. She looked like a fucking raccoon there last night.
I think he ordered her a few nights before for the show.
She looks alright, man.
Fake eyelashes and all that stuff, man. I don't like women wearing those things, Looks like fucking Barbie dolls, man.
Jake Paul. Paul
McAllister, here we come. The man for Liverpool, he's got Chris Eubank with a monocle on his eye. The missus asking me about him last night because he's absolutely fucking eccentric,
She would not get she's not getting who Eubank is,
No. I said, you've seen him back in his pomp, Christ, some of these suits he used to wear, man.
Yeah,
I think he got dressed in a power cut sometimes.
Aye.
Is Paul dropped off?
Like when you're a kid and mummy, I'm wearing this today, and you pick a whole bunch of shit out your wardrobe that doesn't match.
Yeah.
That's what Chris Eubank's like. It's just he hasn't got a mum around to tell him not to.
Imagine your dad taking you to fucking school or something who was dressed like that, You'd have been fighting every day.
Taking you to school in a fucking 18-wheel truck and stuff like that,
No one of the boys are hard as fuck. They've had to fight other days because the way he got about it.
Have we lost Paul? Paul, if you're listening, mate, just join the call, please.
Yeah, I've added him twice, but he just got to join. Yeah, there
That's him. Paul, you there, mate?
Hello, boys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, mate. You just get out of the coffin there. I heard something squeaking there.
No, sorry about the background noise.
I believe you want to talk about Kevin Mitchell, mate.
Well, someone said it had already been discussed, so I've got something else if you'd rather. Sam Solomon beat Felix Sturm last night.
Yeah.
And looks pretty convincing doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Sturm's not impressed me for a while. He looks very old and shot. It's a bit controversial to say, but I think it's worth mentioning. Does anyone think Felix Sturm, when he beat Adam Barker a few months ago, do you think that was a case of the fix was in and Barker just went and got the money?
Well, I know for a fact is that the payday was very, very good for Barker. It set him up for I think for a good few years anyway, if you invest it right.
Euros, wasn't it?
Yeah, a million euros, I think it was. There's a good point there, Paul, because I watched the fight this afternoon. There was none of that urgency for Felix Sturm and his work compared to what he did in the Darren Barker fight. I think it was because they had a new TV contract. It was hinging on him winning that fight against Barker. But at the same time, I was impressed with Solomon last night. He just kept up this work rate for a good solid, 8, 9, 10 rounds. He did tire somewhat, and Sturm was breathing heavily as well.
Yeah, Sturm's. I thought Sturm's been shot for a while, to be honest. He didn't look any good against Macklin. Didn't look much better against Murray, and since then it's just been downhill, really. I don't think he's beaten a top 5 middleweight in a long time, apart from maybe Barker. But again, Barker's got question marks over it, so...
I thought he beat both Macklin and Murray. I think he's...
Yeah. I believe he beat the both of them as well, but he didn't look any good.
He struggles with fighters with work rates, and I think that's what... I didn't see this Solomon fight, but the first Solomon fight, he lost that because he just had a very poor... Solomon had a very good work rate, and that's the kind of kryptonite for Felix Sturm, so it might have just been that last night. I mean, with Darren Barker, I thought... Barker was regarded not as being chinny, but as being fragile. Everybody knows that he has a lot of injuries. I thought, he got dropped against Gale, and I think maybe that, and like Andy said, there was a television contract on the line. I think that probably incentivised Sturm to go out and do what he did that night. But against a guy like Solomon, who can work at range and keep a work rate up, he's always going to look pretty poor at this point in his career anyway.
One thing, Paul, I don't know if you heard it last night, mate, is I think they said that Sturm had been on the weight for 4 weeks prior to the fight. I don't know.
Overtrained.
Yeah, potentially overtrained. It's not really good to be because at the end of the days, I remember who was it? I think was it the Macklin fight that he dumped something like 30 pounds in so many weeks before that fight. I mean, he's been known to kind of blow up sometimes, but I think he's might have changed his living style outside the ring in the last couple of months and stuff, but. If you're down at fight weight 4 weeks before a fight, I think there's maybe overcooked it there.
Yeah, Sturm's not. He's not a Mayweather or Carl Froch. He's never on weight. He's a massive guy outside the ring, and he's around the 190s, and he has to crash weight. He's always done that. So if he was on weight 4 weeks out, that's not good for him. That's not usual.
He hasn't eaten for 4 months, if that's the case, isn't it?
What would you boys suggest he do now? Because after he beat Barker, I think he said something like, "I've got years left. I've got no plans to retire."
Abraham.
I think
Abraham fight. As I said, I don't know if you heard me earlier on there. I spoke to a German fellow on Twitter. He says once the Sorlin contract ends with the ARD TV station, they might make that fight, and it is big. It would be a big fight over there.
I think that's a great fight as well. They've both got steady work rates. Abraham's obviously the biggest puncher, but Sturm's got much more of a...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they're similar levels of shock, so who cares? It still makes it... I think what matters is, of course, it would have been better if they're both in their prime, but they're both at a similar level on the kind of shot scale, so you end up with a competitive fight, and actually a competitive fight is all that matters.
Yeah. Do you think Solomon will just go back to Australia and cash out against Gale now?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to hold that title for long. I'm trying to think now. I don't know if it was an IBF mandatory defence there last night for Sturm. I find it quite odd that the fact is he was banned for the drug test by the Germans. I don't know what happened with IBF, but I believe Daniel Jacobs is also run about the top 4, top 3 with IBF, so maybe he might get a shot against him. But I think commercial sense would basically make the Daniel Gale fight.
I hope it's not Mundine. Christ.
Oh, no. I mean, to be honest, I think when you've seen Mundine getting schooled against... I do mean schooled against Joshua Clottey, he got battered about there like a ginger-headed stepchild. I hope not, anyway, because I think Matty D would have a fucking heart attack if that fight happened. Wouldn't he?
I'd love Mundine to get that fight winning just to see Matty's reaction. It'd be worth him winning it just to see that.
I think any other fighters. Yeah, I see Billy Joe's in the top 6.
Chris Eubank Jr. obviously, he's the one. He's the best fighter at middleweight. He beats everybody apart from Andre Ward at middleweight and super middleweight, doesn't he?
Oh yeah.
According to Chris,
he's beat Golovkin as well, apparently. Yeah.
Yep. Now anyone gets the pleasure of fighting him, mate, the wish never did. As Eubank Senior wants to say. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd like to see Sturm if he's going to carry on, maybe fight Abraham in an all-German cash-out fight, but I really think retirement beckons for him now. I really wouldn't like to see him go on, because he's one of my favourite fighters, and he's not looked any good for a long time.
You know, Paul, financially, Sturm must be well off. I mean, he's got his own gym, he's his own promoter. I mean, he hasn't got a big entourage. That's one thing I've always respected about him, is he's not got this big gang of people hanging around about him. I've seen his dressing room last night. He only had 4 people in his dressing room. His trainer, his masseur, and
he's done well. Yeah.
He's done well for himself, definitely.
And he promotes himself, I believe. So
yeah,
he's one of Germany's top stars. I think. I don't think he's on the level of the Klitschko's, but I think he's definitely in the top 3 German boxers in terms of how famous he is over there.
Yeah.
And the Abraham fight, you know, mate, it makes perfect sense now. I mean, the Germans will buy into it. They'll love that fight. And both, as we said, yeah, it might have come too late, but both guys at similar levels now where they're, you know, past their best. So it's going to be a competitive fight probably. Abraham has wanted the fight, you know, for a long time, and you know, I think he'll really want to get in there with Sturm. And Sturm, you know, moving up in weight, you know, who knows? I mean, like I said, he's a big guy outside the ring, so maybe he'll look better for one last fight. I don't know, but that'll be a big cash out for both of them.
Any other things you want to discuss, Paul?
You brought up Mitchell. I really don't think Mitchell should bother, even if he gets the mandatory spot. I don't know what's happening now because he fucked his weight up, but I don't think he's got a prayer of beating Vasquez, because every time he steps up, he just freezes. I know he pulled it out last night, but he didn't look any good. I had him well behind in that fight. I think if Hearn's smart, he'll just cash out now and throw him in with, I don't know, Crawler, or what's the guy's name from Paul? Tommy Coyle. I don't think Ricky Burns rematch. That's a no-sell. But he should fight the domestic lightweights, because for me, he's not going to crack it at world level.
Well said, mate. I agree with that. I think he's just one of those guys. Once they get, you know, I don't think he lives a lifestyle. I mean, the reason why he's fucked up his weight is because he's in Nando's directly after the weigh-in. I mean, he's meant to be a professional athlete. You don't go to fast food chains and stuff just to rehydrate yourself, for Christ's sake.
You run 2 miles a day.
Yeah, like Chris Ariola. You know, I'm an athlete. I run 2 miles a day. You know.
The thing with Mitchell is he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer, is he? I mean, we've got to be honest here. And it wouldn't surprise me if he got to wherever he was on Saturday morning, and they said, "Oh, it's time for you to check weight," and he was like, "What? I don't know what you're on about." And he probably had no idea. So that wouldn't surprise me at all. But
I don't know why Tony Sims wasn't on top of that, to be honest. Surely he must have known about that and said to Kevin, "Don't go out scoffing, mate, because we've got to weigh in again tomorrow morning." I don't know why he's just been allowed to go out and stuff his face.
It might not have crossed his mind. I think it's kind of thing you think you're probably not. You do probably think. I know he gets in trouble. Tony Sims is probably thinking, well, you know, he's got a fight tomorrow. He's not going to go out and get caught with a butterfly knife in his glove box again or whatever. But you kind of think you can turn your back on a professional for a minute, and they're not going to go to Nando's.
But I mean, the Vasquez fight is going to be extremely hard fight for him. I mean, Vasquez is very good at what he does. He might not be great to watch, but it's going to be a tough fight. And like Paul said, I mean, Mitchell on the big stage does look like, you know, he's frozen quite, you know, against Katsidis and against Burns. He just didn't show up, and he got, you know, beaten up by the other guys who did show up.
Kevin won't land a punch on him. So.
I actually think Mitchell's got a very good chance of beating Vasquez. Said that for a while.
Nah.
I know there's so many people who agree with me, but let's wait and see. Vasquez is a good fighter, but I don't think he's as good as he's warmed up to be.
He could barely punch that Maduma for the first 9 rounds. He could barely lay a glove on Maduma. Vasquez is just going to fucking toy with him.
It's a different style though for him, isn't it? This guy's using his legs, and so Mitchell's got good. He's got no bad upper body movement and that. When he's coming in, Vasquez will find it hard to clip Mitchell as well. I think Mitchell's got the savvy to cause him 1 or 2 problems.
It's just the pressure of Mitchell fighting for a title. I mean,
well, he could freeze again.
Yeah, I mean, he fought Maduma on a big stage, and he went to Nando's because of the pressure of it, I reckon. And he comes in overweight. So, what's he going to be like when he has to face Vasquez? I mean,
KFC then.
Exactly. I mean, it's just, you know, mentally, I don't know where he's at, but I've never questioned his ability. I've always thought he's a really good technical fighter, and he's got he can punch as well, but mentally he's not one of the best, is he?
No. Anything else, Paul?
No, lads, I've had a good chat with you. Thanks,
No worries, mate. Thanks again for calling in, mate. Hopefully hear from you next week.
Okay, mate, no problem.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, pal.
Just coming up shortly, lads, we've got our Bellew of the Week segment. If you just bear us a wee second here, Kurt will get the intro playing, and then directly after that we'll play the interview we had with Shannon Briggs from Friday night. Just bear with us a second.
Let's be totally and brutally honest here. Sean Corbin makes Valerie Brudov look like Ivan Drago. It's as simple as that. He's beat what's in front of him tonight. He faces me. He's going to visit mental demons again. And let's get something straight. Come to me, mate. You come to me. Next time, ain't no judge is going to be needed. I'm going to do worse than Kovalev. I am going to do worse than Kovalev.
On Saturday night, mate, you better hold it together. I'm going to smash it near you to pieces, mate. I'm going to hit him. When he gets in the ring and we get 10-ounce gloves on, I'm going to smash his head to bits. I'm going to do it November the 30th against all odds. No matter what people say, the journalists write what you want. All as I'll say is tune back in and then look at me on December the 1st when I am world champion. It's as simple as that.
I'm willing to die in that ring. It's as simple as that. I am willing to die. I'm willing to die, Saturday. Is he?
You fucking rat!
Frank Bruno gets a mention for calling Carol Froch Carol Fogarty.
Only Big Frank would get away with that, eh?
He's had a few punches though, mate, you know.
Oh, Carol Fogarty.
Who else we got? I had one thing here for Luke Bidwell. He's wanting to nominate Eddie Hearn on Brooke Can. Might not do 80,000, but I think 60,000. It's the fight the fans want to see. And I remember at the weigh-in, Hearn shouted out that he had $5 million again for Amir Khan. So make of that what you will. Any other nominations? I don't know if you want to put up Carol Froch for. Obviously, he was in a bit of a pressure moment when he said, "I'm a brutal, hardened veteran warrior." All I was thinking about was this Chelsea pensioner, you know. So, Tommy, I think you sent up one as well for, was it Kevin Mitchell you wanted to put up, the boxing writer?
Aye, he's my Bellew of the Week. He's made a top 5 British fighters from the post-war. He's got number 1 Lennox Lewis, number 2 Carol Froch, number 3 Joe Calzaghe, number 4 Ken Buchanan, number 5 Nigel Bain. What do you make of that? I commented on the article. I said something like it's fucking shite off him. Eh?
He's the same guy he wrote a big piece in whatever paper he's from about George Groves' comment to Froch saying Froch is like a man on death row, and he was saying how outraged he was by this, and this guy's an idiot. I think
he's a fucking idiot. Sack him. How do guys like that get a job at the Guardian and that? I didn't understand it. To write about boxing, you're meant to know about the sport, aren't you?
I think it goes down to the same point we were making. Actually, they don't want a bunch of hardcore boxing fans going in and reading a Guardian article. They want a bunch of people who don't really know what they're going in reading about, some very high-level stuff. And I mean, the fact that he's got Nigel Benn on there, but he hasn't got Watson, Eubank, etc., it's just a bit absurd, isn't it? But the thing is, if you were to name some of the genuinely good British post-war boxers, a lot of the people reading the Guardian would be like, "Who the hell is this guy? I haven't heard of him. Not interested in reading about that guy." Everybody remembers Nigel Benn and so forth. It's all about generating hits on the internet, on the web page, isn't it?
That's what Dan Ravier is, isn't he? He's the American equivalent. He's just out there to draw in the casuals. He does very sort of weak analysis, and it's just bollocks. I mean, the people that employ them don't know they're boxing either, so they just palm the influence off to someone else who apparently does know the boxing, and no one's going to correct them. So,
any other nominations, guys?
Can't think of any at the moment.
It was like Big Frank can't even.
David Hay. David Hay, when he was talking about the Brandon Gonzalez James DeGale fight, he called Thomas Oosthuizen a great South African fighter. He's fucking shite.
Oh, he's brutal, eh?
David Hay in his prediction of the Froch Groves fight as well, just before, he was saying he could see it only goes two ways. He's sitting on the fence with it, though, either Froch by knockout, I think, or Groves by points. And then later on he goes, I can only see this fight ending, not going to the judges. So how was he fucking fenced it in there?
The Sky broadcast team just got a shout. The Sky commentary team, they got a shout out. That's not a bad shout.
To be honest, mate, you didn't want to keep putting them up every week, because we get classed as haters if we keep bringing them up every week, But guys, I think Frank Bruno's going to take a bit of a beating this week, actually.
Come on, Big Frank can't win Bailey of the week, eh?
That was
Frank's a national.
The past people's champion.
Come on, he called of all people. He got Froch's name wrong.
The guy that's in the main event.
He got Froch's name wrong. He called him. I mean, he didn't even do a Tarver and call him Crotch. He called him Froggerty. I don't know where that came from. It was just fantastic. I just couldn't stop laughing.
I do reckon he just does it on purpose, like he's having a laugh to himself, and he doesn't really care if he get the joke. He always has
What I mean, Harry?
It's just not cricket comments and stuff, hasn't he?
Yeah.
In the past.
Made it was splattered with Tyson, he just went, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Right, guys, I'm going to put you on the fence. I'm going to get you off the fence. Alice, who are you putting up, mate?
It's got to be Frank, hasn't it?
Alistair?
It's got to be Frank, but I do find him funny. I remember when he used to rock up on Noel Edmonds' house party when I was a kid with his belt to cover his Black & Decker.
Tommy?
I'll go Kevin Mitchell.
What did he do?
The writer for that.
Oh, the writer. Right, no problem. So that's 2-1 so far. Kurt, who are you putting up, mate?
He's got, for the one that made me laugh most, it's got to be Frank Bruno.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just hysterical at the time.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Frank Bruno as well. So I think we're all.
But I just want to mention, so Barton Terry was mentioning Mixler about Ed Robinson, trying to change Amir Khan's mind during the I think it was the 6th and 7th round. He was, he went to him and said, what was it? Froch is in control, and that's what Khan said. And Ed said, don't you mean Groves? And he was like, no. It's just the way he tried to say it was pretty funny at the time.
But anyways, Frank Bruno, mate, you are the Bellew of the Week award winner. Sorry, I know you're a past people's champion, national treasure, but it's a nice wee accolade to have. So well done to Frank. Joining us up in the call shortly will be Steve Wellens.
He'll be sleeping in the ring, and he's geared in the game, and he finds he's won this.
He'll be in his tent in the back garden.
He'll say, if we won it, if he boxing Asylum, I'm not going back to the Asylum.
For fuck's sake. He stays in the Gorbals, by the way.
Aye.
Fucking hell, he must be crazy to stay in the fucking Gorbals. Anyways, we'll have Steve Wellens coming up very shortly, but just at the minute we're going to be playing the interview with Shannon Briggs, which we did on Friday. So there'll be a couple of minutes of silence here, then we'll bring the interview. It'll last for about 20-25 minutes, I believe, so enjoy this interview, lads. Box Asylum listeners, we've got the last American heavyweight title holder, Shannon the Cannon Briggs. Shannon, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, brother. How you doing? How about yourself?
I'm very good, mate. It's nice and warm over here. Obviously, just very, very briefly before we ask the main questions, I mean, you're back in the ring now. You've been active now over the last month. Three fights, 3 wins, 3 knockouts. You just keep yourself active in the gym at present, and what are you planning for your next fight?
Well, I'm fighting in 4 weeks actually. June 28th, I'll be back in the ring. I'm looking to fight at Oklahoma. I'm not sure who the opponent is yet, but I'm just looking to stay busy. Hopefully, I'll have a fight sooner than that. I'll land something in the next 2 weeks. But my goal right now is just to stay busy, stay active, to fight once or twice a month for the next year or so, and then we'll see what happens. In the meantime, I'm looking. If I run into Vladimir Klitschko wherever it is, I'm going to attack him and keep letting him know that he's going to have to put up or shut up.
One thing that we've noticed, obviously, Shannon, is the great condition that you're in. I mean, going back to just before you initially retired after the Vitaly Klitschko fight, you were 262 pounds. In your last fight, you weighed 248 pounds. What are you doing differently in the gym just now to get in such a shape as that?
I'm finally just, really focused on boxing. Whereas when I was young and I was a kid, all I did was really, I would just take fights from time to time. If you look at my record, there's no real consistency. I would fight, once or twice a year. But I'm back doing what I did when I first began my career in the beginning, in 1992, which is being active. I'm a rhythm fighter. I'm the type of guy that has to have my rhythm going. My time has to be impeccable, have to be in shape. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm in the gym full time, 24 hours a day, no days off, and I'm just living it, eating and sleeping, and training boxing right now. I'm 42 years old. I've been there, done that. So it's not like I got nothing to prove. I'm just having fun, to be honest with you guys. It's not that serious in a sense. Whereas it's killing me. This is my job now. It's not that it's not serious. It's just that it's a lifestyle. So I wake up every day and I work out to feel good, because after that mentality fight, I was really depressed, to be honest with you. I gained a lot of weight. I wound up going to 357 pounds, and things got really bad for me, mentally and physically. So I made a decision to get myself together. I pulled up, I grabbed myself together, and I pulled myself back up. So here I am now today. I'm in phenomenal shape, and I'm looking forward to becoming a heavyweight champion again for the third time, because I can do it. It's just that simple.
Shannon, as a lot of your listeners know, you're asthmatic. Did that play any part in your inactivity in the past?
Huge part of it. Because being asthmatic and not having it under control, it really hurt me. It was psychologically damaging to go into a ring and then not know if you're going to run out of gas. People would say, "Oh, I didn't train hard, this and the third." But accompanied with my lifestyle, I think, and being asthmatic, it didn't come into play. My diet and all that, everything changed. I'm 42. We're in 2014. Science is better. Technology is better. People know how to control diets better now with asthma and things like that. So I feel great, man. I feel phenomenal.
Shannon, you said yourself you're 42 years old, nothing else to prove, ex-heavyweight champion of the world, but you're looking to get the Vladimir Klitschko fight. How real a possibility is that a fight? I mean, are you willing to work your way up the ranks to get that shot, or do you think you'll probably just need to try and talk yourself into the fight?
I think what I'm going to do is to stay busy and stay active. I'm as far as working myself into the fight, I think different than other people think when it comes to that, because of who I am. Of course, I'm Shannon Briggs. I feel like, look, I'm a two-time heavyweight title holder. You look at the state of the game. People don't even know who Vladimir Klitschko is, let alone the up-and-coming guys. So I feel as though it's just not about it's about a lot of things. It's about the people. It's about the people wanting to fight. It's about the people wanting to see two big men fight, and two big men they know. They don't know these guys. So to see Klitschko and he knock out a guy every month is nothing. They don't know them. They don't care. Okay, you want to get the people excited. You're going to have to bring somebody like a Shannon Briggs to the table. And that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm back, because I realize that the boxing is dead. I mean, heavyweight boxing is completely dead. Boxing is hanging on to a hairstring by Vladimir Klitschko. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? No, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I apologize. Because he's not on. By Floyd Mayweather. Excuse me, not at all. People don't even know who Vladimir Klitschko is. They want to know. They know about boxing because of Floyd Mayweather right now, and that's a shame. You know what I'm saying? The heavyweight division is supposed to be the biggest name in boxing, let alone in sports. So that's what I'm back to do. I'm back to show the people that there's one man out here that has the balls, the nuts, whatever you want to call it, to step out here and knock this man out. Because when these guys fight him anyway, they get scared. They bring him to Germany, they get him all terrified, and the next thing you know what I'm saying? The guy gets knocked out. No, I'm not for that. This is the Shannon Briggs show. It goes totally different. And I would have beat his brother. I would have beat Vitaly Klitschko. Hadn't been for my arm. My arm popped in the first round. If it wasn't for that, I would have beat him. I think his best shot's for 12 rounds. I know y'all like, man, what an interview this is.
No, mate. Listen, honestly, listen. If you get anything you want to vent or get off your chest, just by all means, fire away.
I'm telling you, baby, this is a real interview. I'm giving it to y'all real.
Shannon, the Americans have always been the top of the heavyweight division, but like we said, you were the last American heavyweight to hold a title. Why has there been a decline in America in the biggest division?
Because these big boys is punks. These big boys say they don't want to box. Like, for the most part, it's like over in America it's sweet. So it's like, damn, you know what? They can go play basketball, football, or something else. But who really wants to get punched in their face for a living? You know what I'm saying? You got to be crazy like Shannon Briggs or somebody who really want to do it, who enjoys it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the goal. You got guys who don't want to fight. So that's why you see the decline of heavyweight boxing.
What's your thoughts on Beyonce Wilder and how far do you think he could possibly go in the game? Is that a fight that you would be open to taking just now, Shannon?
I'll tell you, I fight him tonight. That's the easiest fight of my career. I knocked Deontay Wilder out in the first round. That'd be the easiest fight I ever had. That'd be the easiest fight I ever had in my whole career.
Good stuff.
Just talking about Wilder, I mean, what flaws did you see in his game? Do you think he still fights as an amateur? You know, as by that I mean, as his defence, he seems to kind of come back in straight lines with an open guard.
He can't fight. He can't fight. He can't spell fight. He can't spell fight. He can't even spell fight.
Going back to Vladimir, Shannon, back in the 90s when the heavyweight division was excellent, if he was in his prime back then, do you think he's just another run-of-the-mill heavyweight?
Oh, Vladimir?
Vladimir, yeah.
Nah, Vladimir's a machine. He's a machine. All bullshit aside, he's a machine. He's a machine. But it takes a monster to beat him. It's not gonna take a regular human being. They can't. These boys today can't beat him. I'll be honest with you. In any division, any era, he would have stood out. This guy can punch. He's tall. He's in phenomenal shape. He's gotten better because he knows that his chin has been tested. So he's went out and got an insurance plan, which is train hard, come in phenomenal shape, and bring you to his hometown and beat the shit out of you. But he's fighting something different than me. He's fighting a man, if you want to call me that for the conversation. He's fighting a monster that doesn't care about pain. I'm numb to this. I'm already been beaten, destroyed. I will never go down in the history books as a great champion. All I can do now is knock him out, and then at that point, my name will be solidified in history as the guy who knocked out Vladimir Klitschko, the Black Cinderella Man.
Alex.
Yes, Shannon, Bermain Taverna obviously holds a version of the world title shot. What are your thoughts on sort of his position in the division, and you know, are you interested in a fight with him if the Vladimir fight doesn't materialize?
Not really, to be honest with you, bud, because that's an easy fight too. But honestly, like, I want Vladimir, man. These guys are just like, you know, I've been there, done that with Sergey Lyakov. I mean, you know, with a Sultan, and that didn't motivate me. I lost my belt to Bragabov, even though I fought him having pneumonia.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question.
Yeah, with pneumonia. Come on, with pneumonia. The fight
what was weird, Shannon, is you fell ill in March, and then you took the fight again 3 months later, weighing 273 pounds. I mean, looking back on that in hindsight, you know, should you maybe have just postponed that fight for longer?
I was in full depression. My promotion and my management, you know, pushed me into the fight. I wasn't ready for the fight. I had pneumonia. You know what I'm saying? So here I was fighting this man, and I went 12 rounds with the guy in terrible shape. He wound up fighting Vladimir Klitschko, making $5 million or more, and losing and retired, never coming back. So it was just a dark moment in my life where I was like, man, I wasn't even motivated to fight him, let alone I had pneumonia. So you know, it was all wrong. I mean, all wrong.
One fight, Shannon, that we'll unfortunately we'll have to bring up and probably remind you about was the fight against Vitaly Klitschko. You know, what happened in that fight? I mean, did you unable to get going? Did you feel sluggish? You know, through that fight.
In the first round of the fight, I tore my left bicep and my left kidney popped. Facts. Look at the fight in the first round. I fought him for 12 rounds with one arm. I took a beat, and this is true. Let me ask you a question. What happened when he fought Chris Bird and he hurt his arm in what, the last round or round before the last? All right.
He quit.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, guys. You answered the question.
I think you deserve a tremendous amount of credit for staying in that fight, Shannon. I
don't want the credit. I just want the money. I don't even want the credit. I just want the money. You know?
That's it, man. You want to get paid, eh?
Yeah, man. I didn't even get paid.
I was
didn't
going to
get
say,
paid.
Shannon, what happened there? What happened with your purse and that? Because I remember the word going around that the money wasn't what it was.
Right. It wasn't nothing. It was, forget what it was. It was nothing. I didn't get paid. The fight was man, listen. Hold on one second, guys. I apologize. I apologize, guys. Listen, I didn't get paid at all. I'm on a conversation, guys, and I'm texting back and forth. Listen, I didn't get paid at all. I came into the deal as no management, no promotion. I was the promoter. I started a promotional company called Golden Empire. It was then changed to the name Empire. Long story short, it was bamboozled. I got Shelly Finkel hired to work in a company that I started, and they wind up, man, listen. I'm still waiting on my settlement, guys, so I don't want to talk about it too much. But with all that being said, I'm back. I'm not crying over spilled milk. It happened. You know what I'm saying? You live and you learn. It made me a stronger man. I'm looking forward to becoming heavyweight champion for the third time. I'm back. I'm stronger than before. I'm faster than before. I'm more determined than I was before. You know what I'm saying? I'm more focused than I was before. I just had a baby girl. She's 2 years old. You know what I'm saying? So I'm celebrating her life, and I'm just trying to make it the best I can to leave them something behind. And my goal is to leave them with me as a champion, seeing their fall in a great light, where as he came back against adversity. With all the chips down, everything against me, I still came back to become champion again. And I don't give up. I'm 42 years old, guys. I'm 42 years old. This has not been easy. I've been out the ring for 3-4 years. Out of the ring. Boxing turned his back on me. Dan Raphael, everybody in the American press destroyed me. I was the worst thing and guys, when the book comes out, when the fact comes out, what happened, because the fact is, I started my own promotional company and fought my way back to the top and lost in a fight against Vitaly Klitschko with one arm. Didn't get knocked out, didn't get knocked down. God started that company to get my own title shot. And guess what? I'm doing it again, guys. I'm going to be back. I'm Shannon Briggs. I'm hard to kill. I'm the black Steven Seagal. I'm the black Steven Seagal. I'm hard to kill. I'm hard to fucking kill.
Shannon, in the Vitali fight, you had the British ref, Ian John Lewis, and he was heavily criticised afterwards for not stopping the fight. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, was he right to let it go?
Ian is a phenomenal man. The whole time during the fight, I was talking to Vitali and to Ian. I was talking to them during the fight. I just couldn't defend myself because I had one arm. The doctors told me in Germany, they said, we don't understand how you was able to take that much punishment with one arm. With one arm. Your arm is completely shot. Like completely shot. And I came back. I mean, come on, guys. They're never going to give me my credit. And guess what? I don't want the credit. I want the money. You know what I'm saying? So it's all good. It's all good.
Shannon, you mentioned Dan Raphael there. What? There was obviously some beef between you two a couple of years ago. Can you let the listeners know exactly what happened there?
I don't want to get into that either, because one thing about you can't win against the pen. And Dan is a writer for ESPN, and they have him in high regards. All I'm gonna say is he wronged me. He said something to the fact that, first of all, he said that Vitaly should have killed me. Then he said something that ESPN retracted. He said something to the effect whereas he wished I would have died. Okay. Then he said, in relation to my case, he said that it was something about just as a writer or whatever he calls himself. He said that it was something whereas I was wrong. I was the wrong person, whereas I did something. The truth of the matter is, guys, this was a team of businessmen who took what I created and made millions of dollars off of it. Okay? Made millions of dollars off of what I created. Not just because that company was a sports and entertainment company, which is still in existence right now. That's done a major deal, a huge $1 billion music deal that Shannon Briggs created. So with that being said, that's how big this is. So when Dan Raphael went on publicly and said some things about how it was my fault or whatever, I was me, something with the money and why they get paid, he had no idea. He didn't know anything about it. You feel me? So the truth of the matter is that what's happening right now is proven. I'm still being paid. I'm going to win my lawsuit. You know what I'm saying? So with all that being said, man, the truth comes to the light. It hurt me. It hurt my family to be, it hurts me for the fans who turn against me, who don't know the truth, because they only get it from one way. They're getting it from one story, from him. But that's all good. It ain't about that. I'm not fighting Dan Raphael. He's not a boxer. He's a guy with a pen. All I'm saying is I was wrong, and it's, the truth is, it's gonna come to the light, bro.
Yeah. Just answer this quickly. I heard that you confronted him and he actually ran away. Is that true?
Excuse me?
I heard that you actually confronted Raphael at an event or something like that, and they ran away from you. Is this true?
Yeah, but it was not on animosity or something like that. I just wanted to speak to him, but it's all good. Listen, he has bigger fish to fry. I know there's guys like James Toney. He said some really offensive things too, and other fighters. We fighters, man. We work really hard. I know he said something one time. Jamil McClown was fighting one time, and he called Jamil McClown pathetic, and I was like, wow. To call this man pathetic, wow. Can he do what this man does? It just amazes me how things can be said so freely, and that's just how it is. But it's cool. I don't give a fuck either. You know what I'm saying? So if we're gonna say what we're gonna say, let's fucking say it.
Yeah.
I remember he actually did similar with David Hay, and David Hay caught up with him in an event in America, and I think he did the same thing, and found his running shoes and ran.
Yeah, man. But this is unfortunately, this is what the boxing. This is our ambassador. This is what ESPN is putting as our ambassador. So I guess we gotta. It is what it is. But I don't give a fuck. Personally.
Shannon,
personally, it is what it is.
I think ESPN should get Shannon Briggs to cover boxing. I quite enjoyed listening to you when you were on Friday Night Fights.
Thank you, brother. We're gonna send in a petition. Bring Shannon Briggs back.
Anyway, back to the boxing, Shannon. What would you say your best performance of your career has been up to this date?
George Foreman was close to it. Ray Mercer, I was in prime shape for Ray Mercer. I really wanted to fight. I'm a weird guy in the sense whereas I really got to be motivated for a guy. I was motivated for Foreman. I think I was definitely motivated for Ray Mercer. I was motivated for Vitaly Klitschko under bad circumstances. I knew I was in business with some people that was taking me for a ride and things were going bad. But it's been spots, guys, here and there. I think the best is yet to come. I'm feeling great. I feel like the best is yet to come, man. I feel great, man. I'm 42, but I feel 22. Actually, I feel better than I felt at 22.
Shannon, we had a podcast maybe about a month or so ago, and we were speaking about our top 5 heavyweights of all time. Who would be in your top 5 heavyweights of all time?
From what I've read and what I've seen, Jack Johnson, Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, Larry Holmes. Of course, George Foreman. It's hard, man. It's so many guys that I look at and I say, wow. Quite a few guys. I was watching yesterday. I was watching Trevor Berbick versus Tate, Big John Tate. That was a very good fight, bro. That was a good fight, guys. You guys need to check that out. Big John Tate versus Trevor Berbick. That was a good fight.
All right. Where would you fought Lennox Lewis back in 1998. At that time, would you say that Lennox Lewis?
And I'm sorry. And of course, Lennox. I mean, look how big he was. 6'5", 6'6", so strong. He did everything basic, but he got it done. Such a basic guy, but how could these guys have beaten him? The times he's lost, he wasn't on his point. He slept on the guys or whatever like that. McCall, Rockman the first time. But in his prime, on top of his game, who could have beat Lennox Lewis? I mean, look how big he was. I couldn't believe it. When I grabbed him in a clinch, it was like grabbing a wall.
I'm a huge Lewis fan. I've got to admit, I shit my pants when you had him rocked that night, Shannon.
That being the case, Shannon, would you say that Lewis is probably the best fighter you've ever faced, or would it be Leslie Foreman? Probably, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely Lennox Lewis by far. Better than Vitaly. Vitaly was a bum.
Who's the biggest puncher you've ever faced?
Man, I probably have to say George, but man, I don't know, man. That Sultan Ibrahimov, woo! That little joker can hit. That little joker can hit. Man, that little joker can hit, man. Sultan Ibrahimov, ask people about him. He's got some unbelievable punch of power. I know that sounds strange, guys, but I'm telling you, that little joker can hit.
Shannon, I also believe you've been doing a bit of travelling recently. I believe you're in Dubai, or you've been in Dubai a couple of times. I believe that they've been looking at getting some boxing events over in Dubai. how serious are they over there about the getting boxing as a kind of main, promoted shows, etc.?
I'm sorry, I lost you on the connection one more time.
I'm just saying, you've been in Dubai recently, and I believe you've been doing some promotional things, etc. How serious are they over there about promoting their shows?
I think it's mixed. Soccer's really the big thing over there. Some people want it, but it's still small. It's going to take some time, and I think it will be there in the next 5 to 10 years, maybe. But right now, I think they're more concerned with soccer. But it's huge. I mean, it's big. Not as big as we wanted to be here in America or like it is in the UK. The birth of boxing right over in the UK. You know what I'm saying? But it's growing. It's going to take some time. But I've been traveling the world and chasing Klitschko around, Vladimir around the world. As you can see, I don't know if you've seen, I hit him with his shoe. I threw a shirt in his face. I'm just going to keep chasing. I had a pie for him in his fight. I was going to hit him with a pie, but they stopped me. Security stopped me.
Shannon, you mentioned the likes of Jack Johnson and Muhammad Ali. Who was your, biggest idol when you were growing up? Who did you want to, aspire to be like?
Ali, of course. As a heavyweight, Ali, Ray Robinson, his punches and his speed. But more so Ali is what I had a lot to see.
Shannon, I mean, there's a big fight taking place in the UK tomorrow night. Are you going to be tuning in to on HBO to watch Froch against Groves?
Yeah, I'm having a fight party. I can't wait for this fight. I've been waiting for this fight since the last fight.
Did you see the first fight? Yeah.
Of course, it was a great fight. That's why I've been waiting for this fight since the last fight. So I'm having a big fight party for tomorrow.
What was your take on the stoppage?
Man, that was a bad stoppage, but it's going to be a war tomorrow night, man. It's going to be a war.
How big is the fight caught on in the United States, Shannon? Is it, are a lot of boxing fans talking about it?
They're going crazy for this fight. It's bigger than this. It's bigger than America than it is in the UK. This is huge over here. Everybody want to see this fight.
Who do you favour in that fight, Shannon? I'm picking Groves on points.
Man, I can't go against Froch, man. I'm going with a pick, man. I don't know. I can't go against Froch, though, because I think he's going to be pissed off. I heard they booed him at the weigh-in. I know he's going to be pissed about that. I don't know, man. I'm expecting a war, though.
Anybody else got anything they'd like to ask Shannon?
I'm sorry?
Shannon, at present, boxing is we've had some great fights actually over the last couple of years. You sound like a big, huge fight fan. Who do you like following in the sport at present? Who's your favourite fighters to watch at present?
Oh man, so many guys right now. That's like so many guys. Like Broner is good to watch as far as that fight with Madonna was phenomenal. I love Madonna. I'm a huge Madonna fan. Floyd brings the excitement. He brings the excitement. He brings the glitter and the glamour to the game. So it's very exciting. Everything's looking great except the heavyweight division. So that's why I came back.
Shannon, I mean, we really appreciate your time.
Hey, guys, my battery's going to die right. My battery's going to die, guys. My battery's
just before we let you go, you just want to shout out your Twitter and your Facebook page, etc., just to let the fans know where they can speak to you about.
Yeah, man, check me out on Instagram, which is Shannon_Briggs, or follow me on Facebook, which is Shannon Briggs, man. I'm around here every day, acting silly, having fun with my family, training every day, no days off, just, having fun.
Anyway, thanks for your time, mate. We'll let you go this time, but we really appreciate your time.
Good luck, Shannon.
Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
No problem, mate. Thanks for your time.
Great chatting to you, mate. Cheers.
Okay.
Well, everyone, that was the former WBO heavyweight champion of the world, Shannon the Cannon Briggs. We actually need a lot more characters like him in the sport. He likes a wee bit of a shit talk, etc. And I loved his comment about the black Steven Seagal. I'm hard to fucking kill. Kurt, mate, that's going into a intro for the start of the show, surely.
Yeah, I'll get that in there. I mean, Shannon, he's got a bit of reputation. He's known a bit, loose cannon, you could call him. But he was great to talk to, and he surprised me with the fact that he's a boxing fan. He was talking about fights with us that maybe we didn't expect him to have interest in. Like Groves Froch, he was really into that, and he was like you said, he was having a fight party, and just came across a really nice guy.
Yeah,
damn good fighter back in the day as well.
Yep.
Joining us on the call is from the Irish Boxing Review, Steve Wellens. How you doing, mate?
How's it going, Andy?
Oh, alright, mate, alright. A wee bit disappointed, obviously, but actually, you know, thankfully you come on, because he actually reminded me, I actually fucking forgot to talk about the Alexander Povetkin fight.
Yeah, well, I mean, it didn't really rip up any trees, but I thought it was a pretty decent fight. I was wondering what you lads had thought about it. Povetkin was quite aggressive from the start and did a good job on Char, I thought.
Yeah, Char's complete shit though, isn't he? I mean, one of the funny bits was when Char was against the ropes and he's pounding his chest. He's like, "Come on, and they go fucking sparked out."
He is a pretty solid unit though, and the finish was a cracker. It was a right hand, I think, wasn't it? Bang on the chin. It was a good finish now.
It was a brutal finish actually. I remember it was a right hand, left hook, and a straight right hand that really just smashed them up to pieces.
I think it was. I was wondering what you thought about Povetkin trying to force his way back into the mix. I noticed that Carlos Takam and Tony Thompson's fighting as well soon, so there's a little bit of activity on the heavyweight picture. But I mean, could you see Povetkin maybe challenging the likes of Sturm? I don't think he's very highly rated. Is the only thing.
I think. Well, Kurt, you probably agree with me here. I think that's the route that they're planning going down, because that was for a WBC trinket title there. So I'm assuming that's going to get him some sort of high ranking with the WBC, Kurt.
Yeah, I think that the winner of that was going to be put in the picture and going to be right in with a chance now. And obviously, I mean, I thought Povetkin would win comfortably. I didn't know if he'd be able to slap Char because he's a pretty durable guy. He's looked in, but you know, the Steven Wilder winner now. I know Vlad is talking that he wants the fight, but Povetkin's going to be there as well. And Povetkin, you know, I don't know if these guys would want to go to Russia, but other people have shown that you go there, you can get a good payday, and Povetkin will definitely be, you know, he'll look at it like if he can grab that WBC belt, then he can, you know, get another fight with Vlad and maybe, you know, get even more money. So I think there's some matches that can be made, and I think Povetkin's a good fighter. I think he's underrated by many. I think he was always going to be levels above Char, and he needed a good performance after his last fight against Vlad, where, you know, he tried, but he was just a bit too naive on his tactics, where he just kept doing the same thing, I thought, whereas, you know, he needs a couple of these good wins. And I mean, if he was in there with Steven, I mean, who's to say? It's tough to say where he's at, because, you know, recently we haven't seen him, you know, beat, you know, anyone of top quality. So, but on his day, I think he's a talented guy.
Tommy, you're quite high on Povetkin, mate, aren't you?
I've always liked him. I thought he's a bit underrated. I think he's a good fighter. Definitely. If these guys, like, I'll tell you something, he'd beat Deontay Wilder if he fought. I'm telling you that right now.
You think he'd beat Wilder, do you?
I think he'd beat Wilder, yeah, definitely. He's just Povetkin's one of the best schooled fighters in the world. All former Olympic champion. He's a tremendous fighter, I think.
Anybody want to dispute that? Does Wilder got a chance against Povetkin? Alistair, Alex?
I mean, Wilder's got a chance against anybody because
he's a big puncher. Yeah,
he's a big puncher and he pulls the trigger. You know, if he lands first, he's got a shot. The thing is, Wilder can only. That's all he can do. He can't really box. He can't fight defensively. So he can't fight off the back foot particularly well. If he's not throwing punches, he's not really being effective. And when he is throwing punches, he's often very open. So, yeah, like Tommy says, you've got one of the best schooled guys. I mean, Povetkin, you know, he failed against Vlad, but he did manage to close down the gap and get inside. He just got tied up. I don't think that Wilder would do it that well, and I think I could just see, you know, Povetkin shutting him down and knocking him out.
No, I agree with that. I think that, you know, as you said, Povetkin managed to get close to Vlad. Vlad was just a smarter fighter. He's far more experienced. He knows how to shut a fight down and use his weight. Wilder, you know, he doesn't seem to be the sharpest knife in the box, and I think that he just gets sparked out by Povetkin, who would just go in not reckless, but, you know, a very measured approach and just get to him and beat him down.
So does anybody know what the situation is now with the WBC? Jennings was supposed to fight Perez. Is that going to be rescheduled, or?
I think it was rescheduled. I think was it not? Last I heard, it was meant to be getting rescheduled because Perez was injured at some point, wasn't he? I noticed. Carlos Takam fights Tony Thompson next week. Actually, a WBC title fight of some sort.
Aye.
So what
is Wilder? mandated to fight Sturm now, or is that I haven't been keeping up to track with it, or are they still in a sort of tournament thing with Jennings and them, or?
As far as I know, Wilder's next up. Kurt, is that right?
Wilder has got to face
Yeah,
him next.
apparently they're going to fight in November. That's what I've read. But with Don King at the helm, that could be pushed back, and they're going to try and where the venue's going to be. I mean, if you remember the Ariola fight, that was postponed about 3 times. So who knows what's going to happen? But I think November that fight's going to happen, and also I think September 6 is going to be Klitschko Pulev. So they're looking at probably matching the winners if everything can be arranged.
I suppose at least things are getting a bit more interesting now, because we've seen this sort of inertia now for the last few years with Klitschko, and I know Vitali's off the picture now, but I mean you could see maybe Fury forcing his way in, although it seems to be taking forever. At least we're seeing a bit of activity and some decent fighters maybe going to square off with each other. See Antonio Tarver's
the rankings, I think,
yeah. Oh, the WBC be a good one. Yeah, good. Is good, yeah.
And the Fury fight, which is always a WBO eliminator, isn't it? So, if Fury wins that, he's going to be highly ranked up there for a shot at Vlad as well. I mean, Vlad's, he's talking about wanting Sturm's title as well, but the mandatories are going to be piling up, and it's going to be hard to keep hold of all those, titles.
Well, unless he's willing to fight maybe 3 times a year. I mean, he used to fight 3 times a year until recently. I think he's only been fighting maybe twice a year now, so maybe the pace is catching up with him. But I think as well, these organisations will give Vladimir some sort of latitude, because at the same time as he's been faithful to them, he's fought every mandatory challenger that they've put in front of him. So why not give the guy some sort of kind of leeway? And as long as he will fight the mandatory fights. I think they would make, because look what the IBF are doing with the Pulev fight. They're going to make an 80-20 split for the purse because of what he's done for the IBF over the years. Like, I think he's 17 defences of that title or something.
The IBF are quite stringent, aren't they, with mandatory? So I'm sure Klitschko's in their good books anyway, because they're quite quick to strip you, but. It'd be interesting, I suppose, maybe get Klitschko in with a WBC winner, although you could see the WBC title maybe changing hands a few times. Sturm looked handy enough against Ariola, but you could maybe say if Wilder beat him and then the winner of Perez Jennings, it might change hands a few times before Klitschko gets to that.
Yeah. Just while we're on anyway, Steve, we'll just keep on. We're just going to go through the fight schedule for next week. Next Wednesday, I think it's the Super 8 tournament from New Zealand. He's got Martin Rogan against Michael Sprott, Callie Meehan against Hunter Sam. Hassan Rahman fights Antonio Nansen, quite a few others. I don't think any will be rushing to watch this in any way. From Russia, Dmitry Shutsky, I think he fight Cleverly at one point. I think he was meant to fight Cleverly anyway. He's fighting next week for some WBC South Atlantic fucking Pan-Pacific title or something, whatever you want to call it. Friday, Juan Carlos Rovecchio, he defends his WBA regular flyweight title against Felix Alvarado, who was unsuccessful against Kazuto Ioka at light flyweight. As I says, Carlos Takam, he fights Tony Thompson in France next Friday night for the vacant WBC silver heavyweight title. Anybody fancying Thompson in that fight?
Thompson will beat him, yeah. He'll beat Takam.
Yeah, I think he should.
Depends what kind of mood he's in, actually, what kind of weight he comes in it as well,
I think both fights like that they're both kind of mood fighters. When Takam fancies it, he's actually not a bad fighter, but sometimes he just doesn't show up either,
Yeah. I'll tell you who's actually fighting in South Africa next week. Actually, one of my favourite cruiserweights, Kurt Michuno, he's fighting Julio Cesar dos Santos for some IBF title. This guy's got 23 knockouts.
Yeah, that guy's he's impressed me every time I saw him. So hopefully I'll be able to see that fight as well. That he's come from nowhere.
Yep. From Scotland, my wee buddy Ian Butcher, he fights Isaac. Is it Kiwi or something, or Quee? I think he lost to Kevin Satchel for the British. The British title. Was it Commonwealth title? Yeah, the British and Commonwealth title. Wee Butch lost that fight. I felt he won it actually by a couple of points, but there's no any national bias there or anything like that. who else we got? We've obviously got Jurgen Bremer. He's fighting next Saturday. Mad Jurgen. He's fighting Roberto Felicino Bolante for the WBO light heavyweight title. I think it is.
Doesn't seem long guy for Enzo.
I know. David Price is on that card also. He's fighting Yaroslav Zavrotiny from Ukraine. 14 knockouts. This guy.
Oh, Price could be in trouble.
63% knockout ratio. 16 wins, 6 defeats.
Could see Mr. Wobbly again.
He lost the 8-round decision to Pulev. He got knocked out by Alexander Dimitrenko. And who else? He got knocked out by Nikolai Valuev in his third fight.
The great Valuev.
The big sugar Nikolai Valuev. Ponce de Leon, he fights Miguel Roman in Mexico. And we've also got a world title fight next week in the UK. Stuart Hall defends his title against Paul Butler. John Lewis Dickinson fights Ovo McKenzie. Lee Haskins fights Sergio Paredes. And Bradley Saunders fights Vili Pishvan. I think he's from Finland, I think it is. He is for some sort of WBO title. And Kirk Goodens fights Jimmy Sampson.
At the Butler fight next week, the question has to be asked, is Max Branning going to be in attendance?
Yeah, is EastEnders cast going to be in attendance? Is Jeremy Piven going to be in attendance? All these Hollywood A-listers going to be in attendance?
Frank Warren will probably get River City. The River City cast, eh?
River City, aye. It'll probably be like something like fucking This Way's Essex or something like that. Some wee fucking scud book that shouldn't, shows our minge for like 2 cents and stuff,
It's getting, must be getting bad for Frank. He'll be going round the door shortly trying to sell Box Nation. But that was a joke, Frank. Didn't sue me. Didn't sue.
But next week, Tommy, you're going to be in attendance.
Oh yeah.
The lineal and true middleweight champion of the world, defending his ring and at WBC. Ring magazine. Ring magazine title, sorry. And WBC.
Ring against Carlson.
Lineal middleweight titles against the one and only Puerto Rican Miguel Cotto. Miguel.
I didn't care about anything in this fight. Sergio could get disqualified for all I care, and Cotto could get the title. I just want to see him absolutely destroy him. I would like to see some headbutts. I'd like to see some kicks, anything like that. Just hurt the guy. Just hurt Miguel Cotto. Get disqualified. I didn't care.
Boxing Asylum podcast for all your unbiased views.
Right, well, I'm going to put my 2 cents in before I go to the rest of you guys.
Go for it, Andy. Come on, Paul.
No, I'm not going to go too bad because I was actually meant to be getting called out this week, but he's never appeared for some reason. But I'll leave that for another time. If Sexy Sergio is somewhat, back to full fitness, if they can employ the lateral movement, stay off the ropes, and I think the second he lands a heavy shot on Cotto, it's going to be right onto the back foot. We go back to the Margarito fight, even the Pacquiao fight. He is not the same fighter he used to be at 140. He's more kind of I wouldn't say defensive, but he is more cautious. If he gets called in, look at the Mayorga fight. He called him in to try and engage him. Didn't take it. Step back. I really believe. Well, I'm hoping that Martinez pulls it off. I'm a big fan of his, and if Cotto pulls it off next week, we will only be doing a 20-minute podcast because I will be fucking looking for a noose if that motherfucker wins the lineal middleweight title. I could not bear the thought of having to eat crow so bad because all these guys, on the site, on Twitter and that, they'll be giving me a hard time.
Yeah, but you got to look at the positive. Let's just say Cotto wins and a Golovkin fight could be made. That's a positive for you there.
It's a silver lining at the end of there.
Cotto is not fighting Golovkin. There's no listen. He's only taking this fight because he knows he's in with a chance because he's fighting a fucking cripple.
If he somehow manages to beat Martinez, which he won't, it'd probably make the. I think they'd make the Canelo fight.
There's no. Honestly, I would love to see Golovkin fight Cotto. I love to see Kovalev fight Cotto.
Klitschko fight Cotto.
Exactly. Anybody. I like to see somebody in the street with a baseball bat fight Cotto. But I'll open it up, guys. I'm not wanting to go too mad because.
You can see why Cotto's taking this fight. I mean, he's looking at Martinez. There's never going to be a better chance to win this title, I don't think, because Martinez hasn't looked good, and he beat Chavez, but the last round, and then he got an injury. he's out for a while. Murray fight, I thought he looked really poor, and that was his homecoming in Argentina, with a big stadium. He should have been down twice, and arguably Murray should have got the nod in that fight. But again, another injury, and he's been off the shelf now since April. And what is he now? Nearly 40 years old. So he's going to be wearing 2 knee braces. He's talking about an arm injury as well, I think, in the build-up. So, I mean, Cotto again, he's also been in wars, and he's come up through the weights, and he's been inactive. So he's still got to favour the real middleweight, but you can see why Cotto fancies his chances, because I don't think he'll ever get a better chance.
Alistair, Alex, Steve, how do you see it going, bud?
I think if Sergio's anywhere near his 80%, 70% of what he was, he should get rid of Cotto pretty easily. It's just a question of whether or not the injuries. I mean, like Kurt said, I watched 24/7 on YouTube earlier as well, and he said he had. I think he had broken hand surgery, shoulder surgery, knee surgery. It's got to come over all that. Obviously, he couldn't train for the best part of 7 months, which may or may not have had a good effect on his body. But if he's anything like what he was, he should get rid of Cotto really easily.
And wasn't he still wasn't walking until about January, was he? He said
I know. When I heard he was on the crutches and that, and he was in pain, I'm thinking, Jesus fuck, if he is somewhat not feeling 100% or close to 100%, I'm fucking shitting it. My farter is going like a fucking manhole cover.
The thing is, you've got to bear in mind, he did his knee in 2 days before the Murray fight. He broke his hand in the second round of the Murray fight, and he had a bad shoulder. So with that, he still managed to eke out a win against a very big, come-forward guy. And I think Cotto just doesn't take his licks as well. Cotto won't take the licks as well. And if he gets hit with a left hand, like Andy said, he'll be on his bicycle. He's so open to left uppercut, right uppercut. Even at 80%, 70%, Sergio should be able to beat him.
See, no, honestly, Steve, if you look at it, Chavez tried to impose his will on him for like 11 rounds, and he just got absolutely schooled. If Cotto tries that, do you think Martinez has still got enough about him to try and pick him off?
Oh yeah,
I think he should have. I'm going to back Martinez in this one, but they've both had long careers now, and they're both looking a bit battered. But I think Cotto, the step up to middleweight will just be too much for him. I know he looked okay against Rodriguez, but if Martinez's knee holds up, and he has been showing a bit of wear and tear, and then there was the last round against Chavez and that, but I think he'll just be too fast for Cotto, and he'll just be laying a beating on him. And I used to like Cotto actually when he was first coming up early on. I know that he gets a bit of stick and that, but when he was a light welterweight, his fights were exciting, against the likes of Ricardo Torres, and I think he fought Pinto. They were good fights, But I don't know. I met him once in Las Vegas and tried to talk to him, and the wanker just blanked me.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Like, he's not very, very hospitable to his fans, etc.
Quite a tough guy, yeah.
He's a fucking fud.
Alright, so basing it on that, I'm gonna.
I mean, he is the king. He's the king of vacant title wins, and I tell you what, actually, see his light middleweight reign. That is the thing of all-time greatness. I think he's going to be a top 3 all-time great with that light middleweight reign of terror. Tommy, you have Steve, mate. He says he's looking a bit battered after being in the ring. Do you believe he's been battered about the ring much?
Definitely. You can tell the way he's walking. You used to take one look at his steps on, don't you? There's a bit of homosexuality running rampant down in Puerto Rico.
You were talking about me or Cotto?
No need to talk about Steve like that.
Down in Coaguas, Puerto Rico.
Alex, mate, how do you see the fight panning out? Is Alex still with us?
We got a BRB from Alex.
He's just turned off in disgust.
Yeah. Anyways, so cards on the table. Alistair, you're picking Martinez.
Yeah.
Kurt.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go with him.
Tommy, I'm not going to bother asking you. I know what you're hoping for. Steve, you're thinking Martinez, and I'm hoping for Martinez as well. If he's got anything left about him, I think he should pull it off. Naturally a bigger man, and he should be a lot quicker and powerful as well. Anyway, guys, I'd like to thank you all for coming on the pod today, especially the listeners and all the callers. Alison McDonald, Kurt Ward, Tommy Allen, Alex Morris, Steve Wellens joining us from the Irish Boxing Review. I've been your host, Andy Patterson, and we'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.
Ching ching.